Welcome in. Welcome in. We've got a lot of work to get done today, and as we saw in the title of this episode, we in one off season are going to try to completely overhaul the secondary of this team. And on top of that, we're going to dive into a lot of more information on this team and the purposeful way we're going to look to approach recruiting from this point on, because at this point, or up till this point, despite the success we have seen, it has been haphazard recruiting at best. But as we get this stream really up and going here, I'm just checking a few things over on the side, and we'll send out a note for anyone else who is not already here. Off-season time. And as you can see on the screen, it's coming after a loss. A big L we took in the college football playoffs, but back-to-back seasons making it to this point as Kent State, we're doing a lot of good things here with Coach Ty. All right, just checking a couple more things here, making sure it all is a smooth start here today. And of course, as we start off here, we're going to go through a quick recap of the season, talk how things went, talk about what went well, what didn't go well, and move on from there. So let's talk about what did go well. Well, first off, we had a few award winners, and by a few, I really mean just one player. We'll see them. But Mason Kelsay, what a season he put forth for us. We didn't put him in a good spot this year. We really forced a lot from him. We needed a lot from him, and that was costly. I mean, he is as banged up as you could possibly be without being in a hospital bed right now. We saw that come to fruition in that playoff game, which is why we ended up dropping it to Adam Schobel and the Horned Frogs. But it really was Carr, Schobel, and Mason Kelsay in the running here for all the different quarterback awards. Once again, those 1, 2, 3. For the Bear Bryant, Tyrone Rozeboom was in the running. He was only in fourth, though, so we still have a good bit more until we finally get that last push and get the trophy that perhaps he does deserve. As for the Davey O'Brien, again, Kelsay is in the mix. So as Deuce Knight, Michael Hawkins Jr. Those two were also in the running for the Heisman. Adam Schobel ended up winning it over the Heisman winner in C.J. Carr. This is where we find our award winners, though. Another fantastic year put forth by Zayden Walker. We're going to go over his stats here in a little bit. An absolutely mind-bending season from him. By far one of the best seasons we've had from potentially any defender in these college games. And we've had, I think, 3 to 4 Heisman winners at edge. That's a lot to talk about. Before we see the stats, he also took home the Nagurski as well. We did not really have anyone running for the Jim Thorpe. As for the Doak Walker, Jimmy Yazzie was in the running here as a sophomore. There were quite a few sophomores, though only 2 true sophomores in that running. For the Blitnikoff, that did go to DJ Gilliam. He was a problem for us amongst many other receivers this season. Lombardi does go to Pittsburgh's Brian Robinson. As for the Johnny Unitas, or not Johnny Unitas, yeah, Johnny Unitas. I was reading a different part. The Johnny Unitas Golden Arm does go to Michael Hawkins Jr., not the award, the Heisman winner, surprisingly. As for the edge rusher, Brian Robinson, we did not have anyone in the running for this, and I think I know the reason why. That'll be something we talk about when how we want to go forward in building this team. The Outland Trophy does go to Tyler Watt. As for the John Mackey, tight end from UAB, UAB needs a win. Some crazy stuff happened there in this last weekend. Hopefully, haven't heard any updates. Hopefully everyone there is okay. As for the Broyles Award, the coordinators, we did have some guys in the running, 5 and 6 year. Ryan Carty, pretty good year coming in, a former head coach, joined us as the OC. Darren Gardner, the reason he has stuck around, one, he's a high overall or high level here at DC, but what he's been able to do as a defensive coordinator with the defense we have provided him has actually been rather extraordinary. We're going to try to do all we can for him this season because he has just one more year under contract, and then we're going to have to figure some things out. Dick Butkus Award did go to Zayden Walker. Tim Snead was in the running for that, and I imagine he will be our primary linebacker heading into next season. The Remington Award does go to Boise State center Tyler Watt. Lou Groza Award goes to Cesar Hoke, maybe Hokie? I'm going to go with Hoke from Georgia Tech. And the Ray Guy Award goes to Nick Handy from Ohio. Jet Award, Matt Iverson from Duke. And then the Sean Alexander Award goes to Trayvon Asher, receiver from Miami. So we had several guys in the running, but we only ended up winning 3 awards with Walker. He is now set to graduate, but we wanted to talk about the stats, so we will jump over there as well here as we look to continue the wrap-up here of Season 1. We'll get over to the defense, but Mason Kelsay, a phenomenal season. Next year, if he does return, we're going to have to take some of that pressure off of him for sure. But over 3,000 passing, 33 touchdowns to 11 interceptions. That is a touchdown per an interception per 3 touchdowns, I should say. Really solid right there. Completion percentage could be a little bit higher. Rushing, Jimmy Yazzie, over 1,400. 12 touchdowns there. Kelsay, over 100 rushing, so in total, over 4,000 yards from him this season. 19 more touchdowns. And I don't believe he fumbled much. Did have 6. But with all the carries and involvement he had, I think that's solid for us. He had 13 20-plus yard runs. Yazzie had 15-plus. Now, we did not get Dupree much involved. That is going to be a focus next season. Unfortunately, Jalen Dupree will be graduating this year, so he's not going to see the changes we're going to try to make to this offense, once again, to help out the quarterback, whoever it may be. Ivan Carrion had a phenomenal season, and he was one that, frankly, I was a little bit worried about heading into this year. 1,300 yards, 18 touchdowns. He very much took over what we had with Hawkins. We were missing that speed threat. Well, the 6'6" man, he picked up his speed and had a phenomenal year for us. We had Katula get in the mix a little bit here, but it was a pretty steep drop-off. Almost 10 yards less per reception. He had 12 less total receptions. Harry Hassman did get involved a little bit for a slot receiver in this style offense. Actually, I think it was a phenomenal year from him, and he will be in line to be one of the top 2 guys next year, again, depending on what we look to do when it comes to the portal. As for the offensive line, let's sort this actually by snaps. Marquise Easley gave up just 1 sack. He will be graduating. Anthony Talib gave up just 1 sack. He should be sticking around for 1 more year. Nair Daniels, not the cleanest, but facing, again, that number 1 type rusher that you're going to have on the outside. I'll take it. Throughout 12 games, that's about half a sack per game. Plus, then you had the Big 12 championship. You had the postseason. So, pretty still solid year for our left tackle. Jabari Okoye, who I believe actually played center for us, did give up some rush down the middle, but still not awful. Salavea, probably the top offensive lineman for us this year, very close to Marquise Easley. Salavea did struggle with some injuries this year, which is why that snap total is lower, but phenomenal year. He should be returning and should be a long-time player for us. He just played his redshirt sophomore campaign. Defensively, and here it starts with Zayden Walker. We got Eddie here. 11.5 after the catch is crazy. Keep in mind with this offense, a lot of it is play action. Most passes are going to be 10 yards downfield. We don't have a lot of underneath. So, well, yeah, the receivers did go crazy per catch. That's strictly what the triple option pistol set we have designed here, what Coach Ty does. Because Zayden Walker, starting off here with his stats, 114 tackles. Absolutely crazy here in college. 43 tackles for a loss. This man was flying everywhere. On top of that, he was number 2 for us in sacks as an off-ball linebacker. So pretty much anytime we sent him on a blitz, he was making something happen for us. He's going to be a huge miss for us in this next season as he will be graduating. And I hope he should be another draftee for us. I think we maybe had one. He might actually very well could be our first, actually. As for interceptions, Walker did have the 1. Zyman had 1, the true freshman. Key Crowell set to graduate. He only had 2. Clinton Robinson who had to split duty for us this year as both a safety and slot corner due to the disastrous room of that cornerback room. He actually played a phenomenal season. Massive, massive for us. I don't know what his future holds. If he's going to be a starter next year or not, the speed is a concern. I believe it can get better. We'll dive into that more after we get through all the recruiting and the such like that, but phenomenal season from him. I hope he takes a big jump. As for kicker, got to talk about a big jump. Dylan Curtis came here after we forgot to recruit a kicker, not last offseason, but the season prior to that. So we pulled him from the soccer team here at Kent State and said, hey, we need a kicker. And he said, I got you. He came in this year, 13 of 14 on his field goal attempts. Not a extra point missed. Phenomenal year. We now have to look to replace him, though we will be good at punter. If you like punting stats, Greg Grubb averaged 36.2 a punt. It's nothing crazy. Or actually, that is net yards / punt, but then the yards per punt, slightly higher than that, 39.9. So whatever the mix is for that. All in all, special teams, not bad. We did have one kick return this year, punt return from Wayne Harris. He will be graduating, a longtime player for us, I believe. He was actually here since day one of the series. He was just redshirted. So we had a phenomenal year offensively. Gaps left on defense. We've got to fix that here today. So moving on from there, let's make sure we hit everything before we start simming through these weeks. We did not talk about All-Americans yet, and we had some respect shown to Kent State. Nationally, though, we're not going to see any love here outside of Zayden Walker. But quite obviously, you win 3 awards, all you can here for the linebacker, and the stats we saw, you're going to get that recognition. No one else does, not even Mason Kelsay in the 1 or 2 team. We do get Vi Salavea. And again, we talked about how good he was for us at the offensive line spot. He's the only one making it for the second team. Freshmen, we had a couple freshmen play. Rodney Lupke does not make it. Neither does our safety in Zyman. So no love nationally for our freshmen. Big 12 wise. Take a look again here at the freshmen. Hoping we get somebody, and finally Zyman does crack it. Lupke does not. He didn't have as much playing time this year. But that is going to change for sure. That average is really how good the punt return coverage. Okay, yeah. So punt return coverage is really good. Thanks, Edward, for that. So what? We gave up 3 yards a return? Take that all day. First team Big 12. Schobel, he gets it over Mason Kelsay. Jimmy Yazzie, though, does find it on there. Vi Salavea does. Bobby Ellington makes it. Tim Snead and Walker both make it. No love for the secondary. That would be expected. Mason Kelsay does make it as the second team Big 12. And I wonder if we beat TCU if these 2 players switch. Just with how good the battle was. Both those quarterbacks were tremendous this year. Ivan Carrion cracks the list here as a second team, as well as Seth Nilsson. He will be returning as a senior. No one else for us on defense. So the highlights of this team very much were noticed, but there's clearly a lot we need to work on. As for what the current bracket looks like in college football playoffs, just so you can see your other teams that you might be interested in, I will take my head off here for, actually, took away the music there for a moment. Take my head away for a moment so you can see that Georgia-Tennessee game. If we won ours, we would have played against Oklahoma in the Sugar Bowl. We have yet to get to the second round. That's going to be a focus for us in this next season. We've got to make that push. The time has come for us to finally break by that first round. Now, we will be staying in the Big 12 this year. Depending on how things go, there could potentially be another move made in the future. But just going over a quick checklist in my head, we went over awards, we went over the All-Americans, we checked the stats. Now we just have to get to the end of the year. Those who might be interested in the lore here of Coach Ty, there has been teams calling him, including his alma mater, where he did spend time as a linebacker and linebacker coach. Now they're calling him to be like, hey, can you come fix our offense? No, we are staying put. SMU, though, they do want Coach Ty as their head coach. Northwestern, their defensive coordinator. And Fresno State even calling fairly close again to his alma mater to be their head coach. But As I said, we are staying here with Kent State through and through. But we will look to move on from there, hitting all the highlight spots. And as you can see with just this screen, there is some players that we are at risk to potentially losing the transfer portal, but it is not as bad as it has been in many years prior. So it shouldn't be as bad for us this year. I think if anything, we're going to be the ones that are going to start forcing players out. But we are not to that point yet. We're going to look to finish off this season in a couple weeks to sim through and see if we get any good news. If anyone decides to commit throughout this time, still looks like, at least for now, we are still a 2-star program. I'm hoping that will go up, give us some extra points. That should hit after this season concludes, though. So we are almost to that point. One more national championship week before we sim through. How are things looking? Again, I'll take my head off here so we can see the full screen. Starting from the top, USC did beat Boise handedly. TCU obviously beat us. Texas A&M beat Ohio State. So all of Ohio is now out of the college football playoffs. Georgia loses to Tennessee, who then loses to Miami, the 2 seed, 35-17 in the Orange Bowl. Oregon beats Texas A&M handedly for the Rose Bowl. Oklahoma loses to TCU, so a battle of states goes to the Horned Frogs. In fact, I see where they ended up. We'll get to that in a moment. Michigan, they barely beat USC and then lose to TCU by 3. Oregon put up 62 points, but it would not be enough. Losing to Miami, 64 points, meaning TCU made it to the college football playoff. Not even college football playoff, the national championship of the college football playoff. So if we lose to them and they win it all, perhaps one more drive goes our way, we could have seen ourselves in the national championship. That is quite crazy. Again, we were close. We had Mason Kelsay healthy, perhaps we might have been. But we're going to sim one more week and see how the year pans out. Does it go to what could be a rival for us in the making with the Horned Frogs? No news so far here. Nope. So no one recruits during the playoffs. 2028 College Football History Update. The winner of the national championship goes to Miami, quite handedly. We're going to go to the other screen just to see that in a slightly bigger picture here. Oh, Miami absolutely dominated that game. Can we get a box score? Yes, we can. Just consistency from the Hurricanes. 48-10, put up 14 in the first, 7 in the second, 10-17. Meanwhile, the Horned Frogs, what happened to their passing game? Yards per pass was 5. They had less than 200 yards passing. They did have a single turnover. Was that an interception? I'm going to assume no. Not even an interception. It was DJ Gilliam, the award winner, fumbling, despite the fact he didn't have a carry. So that would have been on a catch and run. He only had 3 catches, 48 yards, though did have their one and only touchdown. That's quite massive. So Miami then. Trevor Jackson. He wasn't even in the running for any of those awards. Wasn't in the running for the Heisman. Comes in, absolutely dominates the Natty. 3 touchdowns, almost 300 yards there. The senior backfield creator. He did run around a little bit, about 5 yards a pop, did have a touchdown. Alex Mevis, a freshman, was out there with 2 rushing touchdowns, though that was just checking in for DJ Murray Jr., who did most of the work. Very interesting. Contact seeker. That is a running back of which we are in the need for. Good to keep that up in the old noggin for if he is available in the offseason. Trayvon Asher goes 120, 2 touchdowns. Jackson Cook got a touchdown. Not too bad. A lot of offense there from Miami. Next to none for the Horned Frogs. That's a bit of a surprise, for sure. Who knows how we would have done, though, if we met up against OU and Michigan? Maybe we wouldn't have made it all the way, but hey, we still played against one of the teams in the Natty, so we're looking good there. Any sort of staff moves happening that affect us? I don't think so. No. So in terms of changes to our conference, what we're going to see is a new head coach, a new offensive coordinator. The head coach from Jacksonville State will now be joining West Virginia. Colorado, they have a new head coach. So they fired Deion Sanders by the look of it. They bring in a guy from Middle Tennessee. As for Arizona, they hired a new OC, previously high school. Not sure. Texas Tech, new DC, again, maybe from high school. And then the OC from West Virginia, who was replaced again by that head coach, he goes to the NFL. And then the offensive coordinator was fired at Arizona. They have yet to hire. So that's what's happening, at least in our current immediate interactions. But I think we're good to move on from here. Again, nothing new for us to see. We already saw all the awards and everything. So let's get into the actual offseason. All right, so that's the kicker we were looking at. No news there. Guess that's good. If there is no news in kicker, we have reached the top 5. It's us and Minnesota. And this year, we're not going to forget about the kicker. But this is where things change. Players leaving. Mason Kelsay. If I was Mason Kelsay, we're going to take a quick detour to take a look here at Mason Kelsay, because I want to see where he is after he's had, about a month and a half off of playing. Get to his health here. Once again, we'll take my face off of things so we can see it all. He's back healthy. He's got a full season's health. But that career health is very, very low. If we're being realistic here, Mason Kelsay would be looking at his options in the NFL. On top of that, he's not going to get any better here at college. He's capped out. But because of that health, I would say go get your money, right? Does Mason Kelsay, with that 84 overall, have enough with 3 records held all-time here at Kent State? Is that going to be enough to get him into the NFL right here? Players leaving. Is anyone headed to the NFL? Nothing at the top here. We had some transfers. Nothing that I didn't expect. We have a projection for Ivan Carrion to go in the round 5. Zayden Walker around 7. Are you kidding me? With the performance we've seen from that guy, around 7, he's got to go up. But as for Mason Kelsay, he says the records are not enough for me. He wants to hold that national championship trophy. So Mason Kelsay is sticking around. As for these other players, Ben Nava is a player looking to possibly transfer. Very low, but still, this is actually some of the best persuasion chances we've had, and we could look to bring them all back. We have 8 options for us. But looking at these players, do they have a path to see the playing field? Playing time is really big for Ben Nava, and he is a archetype that we could potentially use. The speed is low, but he would be more, again, of that flashback we talked about earlier. Filling in at that fullback role with the triple option, you need more than actual fullback can give you. Now, Ben Nava is an elusive bruiser. It's not the perfect fit. I would want more of a contact seeker or north-south blocker, but there's the possibility here. I'm just not sure what that run blocking rating is. So let's jump back over to the roster here just so we can try to see what that might be. Because I think there's one other player currently on roster who could fill that role for us, and that is Morgan Harbor, who is another elusive bruiser. He just doesn't have great potential for that run blocking, lead blocking, anything like that. So run blocking here is not great for either one of them. Lead block is going to be a little bit better than Morgan Harbor, but still, I don't think the fit is great. And with how low that speed is, I don't think it's going to improve enough for us to really need to bring back Nava, who probably will still have the playing time problem next season. Well, that quickness can improve. I doubt it's going to improve by much. I've never seen someone jump much when it comes to speed outside of maybe one per off season. So I think we will let Ben Nava walk. And we're glad to see Mason back. Yeah, that was big. Obviously, Kevon Fair, phenomenal one game for us. But that was a lot of questions if Kelsay did decide to leave. With him staying, I think the window for us making a possible natty run is still open. Because again, we have not done well at traditional recruiting here. We've relied so much on the portal. He's a guy from the portal. Frederick Avant is a guy that would look to come back here. And we are going to be pretty thin at that center spot. We have, remember, Jeff Mahoney. He's graduating finally. And then we had Trent Norton Jr., I believe was his name, who's been capped out. So I'm not sure he's going to do much for us. Frederick Avant could get better. Normal Dev, though, former 2-star. And I guess he didn't even want to show up here for this screen, but he could get a lot better. I think in terms of just keeping some depth around, it's high for him. I think that's a no-brainer. We try to bring him back. Keep some depth up front or not. We had high persuasion, and we fail that one pretty hard. Now, Adonis Couch is another guy who potentially is looking to leave. Normal Dev there, former 3-star. He's got some solid speed, but won't get any better there. So he's capped at the 89 speed, 90 acceleration. He's got some upside for seeing some elusiveness improve. But frankly, we do have a really deep backfield that I'm not against letting some of these guys walk. And there wasn't anything crazy to do with his mentals or physicals. So I think that's another one that we could let walk. As for Callaway, we do have, again, a lot of depth there, but he is more of a scheme fit if we had, again, that front, that power edge versus the weak edge, like we do for the linebackers. If they can make that adjustment here without us having to do it manually, that would go a long way. Now, Kevin Callaway, former 2-star, but impact dev. He already has the 83 power moves. The finesse moves can improve. His strength can improve. Speed is capped at 61. I think that's all you need to see. Callaway, see you on your way. Sam Battles, he's at the bottom of a really bad group of corners, so I'm letting all corners walk. And then for Khalil East, a thumper linebacker. We'll check in on him, see if we want to bring back any of these guys. Just checking a message there. Khalil East, normal dev, former 2-star. The IQ is horrendous, but can improve. Quickness can get a little bit better. He's not, I think, ever going to be someone that's going to be a starter, but he could be a solid depth guy. I say solid. He's still a 60 overall. We'll see if he's interested just to use up a persuasion, and he's not interested. He's like, I know I'm not going to play here. I'm going to go back to maybe Toledo or something. Well, he's actually from Georgia, so maybe Georgia State? Either way, I think we're good here. Nothing crazy happening there. We'll go position by position just to see the guys that are indeed leaving. Ben Nava's headed out, Adonis Couch is headed out, and Jalen Dupree is graduating. At fullback, Terrence Bailey, one of the guys from the very beginning, is finally graduating. Receivers, Wayne Harris graduates, and they project Ivan Carrion, 89 overall, is a projected 5th-round pick who just went over, what do we see, 1,400 yards, 18 touchdowns this year. Phenomenal season from him. Built up that draft stock. Quandre Coates is going to graduate. Jake Michaels and Nair Daniels both set to graduate. We'll be leaving Marquise Easley, another really solid lineman for us. So that is 2 starters up front that will be gone. Avant is going to transfer. Mahoney is going to graduate, was our original starting center this series. And we're good on the right side. So we do have 2 open spots on the offensive line. Edge guys, Callaway transferring. Roy does graduate. He's been here for a while as well. And Aiden Burgess, he came in a couple times this year when there was an injury up front, and he made a few splash plays. Nothing crazy, but we appreciate those guys who come in and just help us get those starters back out there. And getting to the linebackers, as we don't lose much of anything up front. Buchanan, a backup for us, graduates, transferring. Khalil East, and then Nyland Brown does graduate, as well as Zayden Walker, with the disrespect of a projected 7th round pick. He won all 3 linebacker awards, 114 total tackles, 43 tackles for a loss, 7 sacks, and a pick. That apparently is round 7. If that is, anyone looking for a linebacker here in the next round of the NFL draft, you're going to be pretty lucky. Cornerback-wise, leaving, Sam Battles transferring, and Jair Rollison, the last remaining player from that defense that we started with, is graduating. And he was the actual correct archetype that we're looking for at that spot. So a lot of work to do there with Key Crowell, another guy that we brought in. Bump and run, again, right fit. On top of finding these fits, we've got to find a little bit more speed, so that is going to be a focus in the secondary. We do not lose any of our safeties. Dylan Curtis graduates. Maybe he's going to go play goalie yet again in some rec league. Who knows? But all in all, that is not a bad group for us. We lose a couple players. Get 2 up front on offense. We lose a receiver. But I still think we're at a really good spot, keeping that window open. As we answer that biggest question, Mason Kelsay sticks around. Let's move on to the next week then. Find out where our guys did get drafted, which will only help us when it comes to recruiting. Pretty long load screen there. And now we have a new set of couple players. I was surprised that Boger didn't look to transfer, because we were not doing a good job at meeting his playing time, but stuck around. He was our backup for most of the year. Now, before we get into the transfer portal, we do have to do a couple things first. First off, did they fix Zayden Walker? He moves up to a 5th round pick, so he goes 2 rounds higher than expected. Ivan Carrion goes 1 round higher than expected. That is great. For any of you who are wondering, if you are also watching the Giants series, and we've been putting players in from the Stanford series we had, College Football 25, I will not be adding any Kent State players unless we do that series long enough that the players that we send to the league are strictly from this series. Ivan Carrion, Zayden Walker are both NIL real-life players, so we're not going to be adding any real-life players. Just going to make that noted from there. But still, 2 guys sent to the draft, and we have not sent many players to the draft. Those 2 might be our first. Again, one more thing I want to do here. Take a look at the roster. What are our true needs? I don't think we touch quarterback. There's one quarterback that we might go after if no one else is, but I don't think it's necessary with all the work we have to do in the secondary. Running back, I would consider bringing in a contact seeker or north-south blocker to replace Jalen Dupree, as we do not have that guy currently on roster. None of these guys fit what we're looking for with that role. Terrence Bailey obviously graduating, not going to bring in a true fullback. We have a couple receivers that we're looking to bring in that are some 4-stars. I think with how much we use these receivers, most of the time it's just 2. We're going to use tight end more next season. I don't think we need to go hard after anybody. We're going to try to land those 2 high school guys and go from there. Tight end. We already landed 2 tight ends. And again, these tight ends are only used in receiving downs primarily. So I think just having those 3 will do. If we have extra points at the end, we already landed all the corners and safeties, anyone for that defense that we're trying to rebuild, if we already have them all, and there's a tight end that's a vertical threat just sitting there begging to come here, then we might address the tight end spot. As for the offensive line, I know we have brought in, I think, 4 high school recruits already. Baldwin, is he going to progress at all? Because we do have 2 open spots up front here. 3-star impact. And he can get better. Already, he's at a decent spot, but that run blocking is rough. But if he's at a tackle, is he left tackle? Yeah, left tackle, that's fine. Primarily focus on that pass block. I think he'll be okay. As for left side, Daniels, low overall. I don't think he's going to grow to a spot that starts. Potentially, we could look at center. Trent Norton Jr., he started for us for 1 season. Did not start for us last year. The lead block is good. The awareness is eh. Run blocking, eh. Outside of the finesse and power moves, but the true run blocking is okay. Solid pass blocker, though. He wouldn't be an awful guy to start for a season. Again, with how much work we have to do to the defense, I'm not focusing as much offensively. Mostly just looking at specific needs. Jabari Okoye could potentially play some center as well. Both Talib, Okoye, German could even look to get a little bit better. A well-rounded offensive lineman. Those are more the linemen I want to stick with moving forward. And he can definitely improve that run blocking. The pass blocking is capped. It's okay. Get that awareness up a little bit, and he'll be a solid guy. 99 stamina, too, is pretty good. But yeah, I think for this offensive line, moving into the future, again, want to get more direct with our recruiting. Well-rounded and agile. Because of the triple option, we need guys that could get out to the outside and get into the second level. The power hasn't necessarily worked like we want with that. Though, I do have to say, Salavea, raw strength with him, and he's been a phenomenal run blocker. So, there's some mix to his game for sure. There's some leeway when it comes to recruiting, but definitely that's what I want to focus in on, is more specific designed recruiting. Not haphazard like we have been. And I talked about earlier, while I was actually pleasantly surprised with how much pass rush we have gotten, considering how bad the secondary's been. And these edge rushers have not helped us out. Theodore Blackwell, while 86 overall impact dev, he is capped out at a 72 speed. Now that's okay if you're MAC, but now we're Big 12. We're Power 4. We need a little bit more speed out on that field. Help out the secondary by getting some better pass rush. Now, if we had the power edge and the weak edge, I think it would be a little bit more understanding here. You'd still like a little bit more of that speed, but that's not the case. So the speed is definitely a concern, but the overall is so high, I'm not looking to make a big push here for edge. If a guy comes calling and wants to be here, and again, we have those points, kind of like the tight end, maybe we think about it. Marquis Shabera, similar spot here. The speed, though, for him can improve. How much over time? I'm not sure. We will find out. He just played his sophomore year, so definitely can improve. But we have so much depth here at the edge rushers. I'm not looking there in a transfer portal. Defensive tackle. This is an area that we do really need to start looking at it as 2 separate positions. At least with the playbook we run. We run a 4-3 defense. So you do really have to look at DTs as 2 different spots. If your defense isn't playing well and you're wondering why, this is some things you need to keep in mind here. You got to recruit for what you play, or you have to change your play based off of what you recruit. It's the only 2 ways to go about it. And frankly, we haven't changed how we run things, and we haven't recruited for how we run things. So that is what I mean when I really want to dial in our recruiting. When it comes to DT, you have your defensive tackle and you have your nose tackle. Those are technically 2 different spots on the field for us most of the time, depending again on what we're running. So we really need to remember that and think of defensive tackles as 2 different spots. Bobby Ellington is a gap specialist. He is 6'6", 340 pounds with 99 strength, and we have not simmed yet for any sort of upgrades. He is a nose tackle who does frankly need to work on his block shedding, and he can. What this team is missing on the interior is a true inside pass rusher. So that is something we might take a look at. Again, we're going to focus on the secondary because we still led the league in sacks this last year. That might just be more of a EA thing. But we can definitely improve the run stopping here with Bobby Ellington. Doesn't take as much points. I'm hoping we see a good boost to that block shedding, because he needs to play that nose tackle role for us this next season. Seth Nelson is another pure power guy. He's not as strong, 88. He's got the block shedding. He doesn't have much of that finesse. He's another nose tackle. The only guy who might have been that true DT, he just graduated. And that was Aiden Burgess. He had that 80 power move. Sorry, I kind of got a little fuzzy there. I heard barking upstairs. Dog's going crazy. Just had to hear what it was. There is one guy in LaRon Powell, pure power. He does have that 85 power moves. Depending on how much he progresses, we might need to try to force him onto that field. We're hoping that Allen Hyman, a guy we brought in, was a 4-star last year. He's a gap specialist. So once again, we've just been recruiting nose tackles, which is why we're not getting that great pass rush down the middle, despite what Seth Nelson did for us last year, though. But I'm hoping we're going to see a big jump here. Just 2 points each for Hyman. I'm hoping he takes a big jump in terms of his pass rush. And then we should get a better rotation going down the middle, and that's just going to help out the secondary even more. If we get a better rush, we're not going to have to cover for as long. Now, all of the problems that we've had on this defense have been masked by the linebackers. Titus Weil should be taking over as one of the primary options for us this year. And he played very well as that third linebacker, though we didn't run too many base packages. He's a star dev, so he should see a good jump. He's a pretty quick guy. That acceleration is at least there. The zone is there. The man, not so much. That is a slight problem because we are going to focus more towards a man-covered defense. Again, just to try to force the quarterback to do a little bit more than us just sitting back in zone, which we haven't been running all too well. Might talk about that more in the first episode of the season. Might talk about it maybe at the end of this one, depending on how long this goes. But he can blitz for sure. We're going to see how much that pass coverage improves, but he still is a really solid guy. We saw some flashes from him. Linebacker Tim Snead should be that guy for us. He should be the next Walker. With how great Walker played, Snead was arguably just as good the last half of the season, so a lot of expectations for him heading into his junior year should be here for 2 more seasons. That is what we're going to hope for. Who's going to be that next linebacker? There are a couple questions. There is Quentin Donald, who will be playing for some playing time. There's Anthony Butts as well. Fun name. Buchanan just graduated. Maybe Pat Holliday. We're going to have to see which one of these guys makes that jump, because I don't think we need to focus in on that linebacker group this offseason. That's more of an in-season recruiting because we already have the primary 2 starters. But this cornerback room is going to see a massive overhaul. Rollison graduated. Key Crowell graduated. Derek Jackson was the problem for us in the secondary, which forced us to change so much. I don't know if he comes back next season. Is it normal that if he can improve a little bit? But frankly, if that quickness doesn't see a massive jump, he might just be riding the pine. Because we can't have someone out there with that 84 speed again. It was a massive, massive issue for us. And looking to move to more of that man coverage, you can't have 84 speed with man coverage. So I think almost entirely this cornerback room is going to see a complete overhaul. We have some guys at the bottom here who are young, and I'm not sure we're going to stick around much with them. LaVore, again, depending on how things end up going in terms of development, he might be a guy to move to safety, depending, But it's not looking great for the guys at the bottom. The speed isn't great either. This team only had one player 90 plus with the speed. So it's definitely going to be a focus. Speed, man, press, with a little sprinkle of some zone. I'm thinking about 65% man. And then blitzing probably another about 20% of the time, with the zone the remainder. That could change as the season goes. We'll talk a little bit more about that when the time comes. But definitely massive overhaul of the cornerback room. Derek Zyman, I would love to see him continue to be this team's starter. I think he has the potential for it, but the normal dev could hinder him. I'm hoping he does get a boost in that dev trait in this offseason because of how good he was. but I think we might have already gotten past the point where that might have hit. So Derek Zyman, while he could definitely improve, I am a little worried. Quickness is okay. It's not going to get any better at the safety spot. We can manage with the 88-86. But I'm still going to take a look at what is on the table for us. Because outside of Zyman, again, I'm not too sure. Linval Iverson, a guy we brought in last time, 85 speed. Jaquez Trask, 80 speed. At strong safety, which is okay to typically be a little bit slower, but in the scheme we're going to look to run here defensively, it's still not great. Clinton Robinson barely hanging on there because of that 89 acceleration. But then you got Steven Natson with 81 speed and Ladarius Cheeks with 84. This is what happens when you just recruit guys that just have interest in you, rather than specifically what you need to build your defense. We're past the point, we're past the MAC. Now it's time to get serious with recruiting and really dial in this defense. So that is what we are going to look to do as we jump in here to the transfer portal. And on top of that, we got to get rid of some of these players because I feel like we might be loading up. Darren Cleveland, the 1-5-star we were going after, did not work. We missed out on some linebackers. I still think we landed one, or we're going after one. We're going to clean this up. And frankly, all the corners that we missed out on, I'm kind of glad we did because they don't match really what we were looking for either. So I guess all pans out in that way. Scotty Rubin, I feel like we pulled off of him for a reason. It's that 84 speed. But the coverages aren't awful. I'm not going to take him off if he chooses to come here, great. As for Tobias Watford, again, that speed isn't great. Michigan looks like they might pull ahead there. So again, I'll keep him on there, but nothing crazy. Playing style isn't going to improve here for Nagy, so we'll take him off. Do need to bring in the kicker. That's for sure. So we're going to just tack on 10 points. I see we have 900 points to work with here. Side note, my school, we went up a full star. That is massive for us when it comes to recruiting. Absolutely massive. On top of that, what about pro potential? Is that really by position? Because it doesn't give us the letter grade. Yeah, teams at different positions compared. Okay. So for pro potential at receiver and linebacker, it probably went up a little bit. Not so much for everyone else. But we went up a full star. That is huge. In fact, let me go back to that. Do a little behind the scenes work here. Just going to grab a quick thumbnail. Call that good. All right. Back to the recruiting board. We do need a kicker. So we're going to toss on the 10 there. These are the receivers. Now, it does still look like Michigan is going after the kicker. Or, not Michigan, Minnesota. My bad, anyone in the Midwest. But it doesn't look like at least anyone else is going after DeAndre Lake. Does look like there are still 3 teams going after Coker. I did not want to add the 5. I wanted to add the 10. Thank you, EA. Ogba, zone. We're going to pull off of that. We're going to pull off. Nick Dogg does have competition. He's a boundary corner. I think at this point, scouting could be big, but we're going to save those points. We're going to save them. Do, however, want Iwabima. He's a thumper. We've had a lot of success with thumpers. And luckily, us pulling those points at the very end of the season didn't end up costing us. So that's also massive. The quarterback we were looking after in Marquise Davis. Again, if he chooses to come here, great. But I'm not going to put any more points on these high school guys. At least at this point. We only have 17 total on our board. And as we start, I want to say we're about mid-40s. From last I checked. 43. So not bad overall-wise. But not great when it comes to the Big 12. We're outside the top 5. TCU's above us, and right now they're our biggest rival in the Big 12. So I will definitely want to make sure we outdo them. Do have to check. Yeah, we're gonna hop out here real quick. I just want to check to see how many people TCU sent to the league before we end up forgetting and not seeing that at the end of this. So we'll hop down to TCU right quick. Schobel goes 2nd round. A little bit surprised there. Steven Dicker goes 4th round, so around the same time Ivan Carrion goes. And they have their running back in Humphrey go 6, and McGee also 6. Thought McGee might have went higher. I believe he won an award as well. I mean, highly decorated player. Look at all the things next to his player icon. Same as Schobel. Surprised they didn't have more. Definitely surprised. But back to the portal. So we have to completely overhaul the secondary. So the first thing we're going to do, just because, we're going to check out any of 5 stars. Anyone, there are actually 5 stars looking to transfer. And we had someone interested. Oh, wait, no, we're looking at prospects. The amount of times that I've seen people do that. About to say, there's a lot of 5 stars available. No, not a single 5-star is available. What about 4 stars? There are 4 stars interested. Are there any 4-star corners interested? There is one here. Zone, though. Shamari Earls. That's not the scheme we are looking for. But because he's a 4-star, I will spend the time to at least scout. Because there's only 3 4-stars. Boundary, that is a guy we are looking for. Monte Vincent from Liberty. How did Liberty land 4-star? Another zone in Aiden West. We're going to start with those 3 guys. We got 900 points. This is more points we've ever had. So let's do some scouting. The zone is looking really good. The man isn't bad. He's got good speed. Press is okay. I mean, it's not bad. Better than anyone we've had before. Could still be a really good option. What about the boundary in Monte Vincent? Good press at 85. That's what we like to see. He is more of the zone than the man. Speed isn't great. Aiden West, not as much press. Better zone, though. We're going to full scout him. He's got good speed. He's got layout and house call. We'll go ahead and finish up these other guys, too, just to see if they have any more ability traits. Which I guess the question mark would tell us if they actually did. So Shamari Earls. He's fast. Awareness isn't bad there. I think that's someone we have to go. If we're going to have to overhaul everything, I think these are guys that we should look at. Monte Vincent, though, well, the press is there. We're going to be playing more man than the zone. And I'm not sure it's a good fit with just 72 man. Though the change of direction is great. But I'm not sure that's the guy. You don't have as much press here with Aiden West, but he could play in the slot with that 71 tackle. House call as well, platinum. So we got beat a lot last year on passes in the flat, passes underneath. You put in a guy like Aiden West with that house call being platinum, with good speed, good acceleration, awareness isn't bad. Don't see play rec there, but in the slot, he could do some severe damage for us. We did not force many turnovers last year. So that's a for sure. And I still think we go all out here as well for Shamari Earls. Now we're going to go back to the portal, because that's only 2. You got to have at least 3 corners. Any state. Corners. Let's check out the 4 stars. From the top of the list here, what do we got? We already checked out 4 stars. I'm going to say 3 stars. From the top, at a Navy, another boundary guy. Sydney Florence, sophomore. Did have an interception last year. 6 passes deflected. We'll take a look there. We're looking at bump and run and boundary. There was a bump and run in Hugh Augustine. No interceptions last year, but a few passes deflected. He's another sophomore. Savon? I think Savon Foster is how you pronounce that first name. He is bump and run. We'll add him. What year was he? Freshman. Yeah, definitely adding him. Robert Jones, another bump and run. I think that should be enough corners for us to go back here, do some more scouting. 4 more. Again, we want to flip the entire cornerback room. So taking a look here at the sophomore, 6'2", 164. A little bit more height than weight. Good start with that awareness, catching 75. Man, though, coming in at a 69. A little bit low, 88 speed. We're going to pause there on Florence. Hugh Augustine, sophomore, 5'10", 204, the bump and a run. 66 zone is rough. But he does have some good speed. 81 man coverage. Again, we're going to run more man than anything. He's a solid guy. Developmental sophomore. Like him. Savon Foster. 74 press, 81 catching. Man comes in at 76 with a speed 91. That is a guy to go after. As a freshman last year, I sure hope they redshirted him. Out the gate, you're getting the scholarship and the 50. Robert Jones III, 6 foot 186, a better size there. 99 acceleration with 78 catching. Good coverage ability, really good speed. I don't need to see any more here. We'll save those 10 points. So that is 4 corners. Hugh Augustine, I think, is another guy we could go after and develop because the speed is there. That zone just has to improve. So we'll offer the scholarship there. Really hope none of these guys have a deal breaker. I need that UAB fight song to leave of playing time. There is with Shamari Earls, but he's at least viewing that everyone else is beneath him. So that works for us. So that is 5 corners we're already going after here. So for Sidney Florence, I think we're going to move off from him because that speed and man is so low. And despite being a 4-star, he doesn't fit our scheme. He could play safety, though. Monte Vincent, that's 6'2", 192. The jammer wouldn't really help us there, though. We'll keep him on the board. We'll check the safeties. But a really good start. We've already gone through about half of our points. Again, I like Simon, but if there's someone better, we're going to check. 4-star, no 4-star interested at free. Nor a single 4-star even available in total for the 4 stars that's strong. So that's a bit surprising. 3 stars there. Now we have some options. Now, when it comes to the safeties in the 4-3 we run, we need some better coverage guys, which typically are going to come with some better speed. So Xavier Squires from Washington State. He is a junior. We'll add him to the board. Now looking for box specialists. There's a lot of box specialists here. Hybrid, we could do. We'll take a look at Dunbar Hawkins. What about the strongs? We got any better options here? Hybrid, Miles Easlick, a freshman. Add him to the board. Hybrid again for Ciante Stewart. A lot of hybrids here at Strong. I'm not against hybrids. Let's start with that. That's a lot of safeties. Again, we're focused on that secondary right now. That's primarily what we're going to be looking at here in this offseason. So Squires here. This is the freshman coverage specialist, one of the only coverage specialists. Okay, decent spot to start with the awareness. Good speed and acceleration, change of direction, agility, a great athlete. Where's that man coverage leave us? 70 with house call gold, robber with platinum. It's not bad. Are all these other guys hybrids? Yeah. So the rest are going to be hybrids. Dunbar Hawkins. We've had a lot of success with guys named Hawkins. Coverage isn't bad. Speed, good enough. We'll finish off his scouting here. He does not get that extra ability. That's annoying. The awareness is a bit low. Still not bad. Eastlick, good man coverage there. Zone not far behind. What's the speed? 88 with 88 excel. We could work with some of this as a true freshman too. Really solid. Deontay Stewart. Again, solid. Though he's a junior. So I think we'd put Eastlick above him because he matches. Though he has the hammer and the knockout. We don't know of any abilities with Eastlick. Really hope I'm pronouncing that name correctly. Melvin. Wrapping out the safeties. Slow. I'm going to stop you there. So Melvin is off the board. I like Eastlick. Jumping all over here. From Aubrey, Texas. Just really good balance there. Solid tackle ability. Again, as a freshman last year. He'll definitely be one of our options. Now, as for these other guys, we need some speed. You have the speed with Squires, who could play free. Strictly with the zone, the man, nothing great there. But if we're playing more cover 2, then you don't need as much man with your safeties. If we play cover 1 or cover 0, then we do. And then again, we had the option up here with a sophomore who has 81 tackling for Monte Vincent. Really good change of direction. The speed isn't awful, isn't great either. I'm also looking at the ages here. So juniors is what we have left at the actual safety spot. The best awareness you're going to have is Deontay Stewart. And then for Vincent, 74 awareness. So these guys are all very comparable. But for Squires, you sacrifice a little bit of the zone and the speed, and you get some better balance. I feel like Deontay Stewart might be more of that guy because he has that higher awareness. He's got knockout and hammer. Meanwhile, the other guys, Squires does have the house call and the robber, but again, you sacrifice so much with that man. I think we're going to go Stewart. I think we're going to go Stewart here. And we're not going to go after the other 4-star corner. I just feel like the man was such a hindrance there. So the catching, the tackling, and there was a lot to like. Someone's going to love Monte Vincent. If we were running more of a zone style, where we were running zone 65% of the time rather than 20-some odd percent, then Vincent would be great. But he's not our guy. So we're going to take those guys off. Squires, Dunbar, we're going to take them off. So that leaves us already there with, if we land all these guys, which who knows how this is going to look moving forward. If we land all of them and we completely rebuilt the secondary, still landing a couple high school guys as well, leaving us with 155. And there were a couple spots I think we still need. So looking at running back, we need a north-south blocker or contact seeker. The top guy here, Ralph Cummings, is one of those guys. From Phoenix, a sophomore. He ran well last year with Arizona State. Definitely ran well. We aren't in his top interest. No, don't exit recruiting. Could be a solid option. Let's see what our other options are here. Blocker, contact, seeker. There's our first blocker, Dominique Sneed. Didn't run as much here with Air Force, but would be familiar with the scheme. If we're being realistic thinking. Looks like we just had a lull spot with the internet. So I'm gonna pause up for a little bit as hopefully this catches up with itself. Actually, better yet, might make sense. Real quick, I'm going to run an ad while this internet sorts itself out. We'll be right back. Assuming everyone is currently out watching the ad. Though I guess in the replay back, might not have an ad here. We're gonna marinate a little bit. Think a little bit about what we've done so far as the internet gets itself back right sorted. I do wish that it showed me in my preview if people were currently on ad or not. Let me know in the comments when you're back from the ad. Also could take a look around while that happens too. Dominique Sneed, we're gonna add him to that board. All right, is everyone back? We're just gonna assume everyone's back here. Internet seems to be back as well, so we're gonna rock forward from there. Dominique Sneed, we are gonna add him to the board. We're gonna take a look at him. Top 100 running backs. We are taking a look. Backfield threat, and then Tremaine Sneed. So there's two Sneeds. I wonder if they're brothers. Cypress, Texas, and Mansfield, Texas. Potentially cousins? Why not? We'll toss a third guy on there. Let's check out these running backs, though not sure it would give us any sort of blocking when it comes to the scouting. There's no way of knowing beforehand. At least I don't know beforehand. We'll give him a scout just to take a look here. And it doesn't look like we are going to get any sort of blocking there. Or there. What about the other Sneed? So no blocking across the board. So we're just going to have to get the information that we get here. Right now, it's not a whole lot of information. Good speed, though, for Tremaine Sneed. Good break tackle. Carrying isn't too bad. He's not going to catch the ball, but we don't necessarily want him to. He's got downhill for silver, balance for gold. As for the other Sneed, finish out his scouting 84 speed. We don't need a super fast guy at this spot. But he does have good acceleration with a platinum sidekick. Head first to silver. What about Cummings? The top running back in the portal. At least, right, yeah, because there wasn't any 5 stars. And not as fast. Downhill and balanced is gold. Does have good carrying, good break tackle, good ball carrier vision, and good awareness. And we only really have the points for one of these guys. That's all we really need anyway. The break tackle is going to be better with Ralph Cummings. 5'10", 224. It's the best size of them all, even for that fullback spot. I think that's going to be the guy we go with. We don't need the speed at this spot. So we'll offer up that scholarship. We will send the house. We still have 10 points available. And we'll go ahead and remove these Sneed cousins or brothers or distant relations. We're going to see how much effort these other schools put in for some of these high school guys. And quickly, I do want to take a quick check at possible tight end defensive tackle. And tight end isn't a big necessity, but it would allow us to redshirt some of these freshmen. Physical route runner could be interesting, but I still think we want vertical threat. And there's not a whole lot of vertical threats here. So we're not going to focus then on the tight end. Would like to see if we got a good pass rusher, though. The top option out of Stanford, not interested, though he's pure power, so not really what we're looking for. We need an interior rusher, a speed rusher, Kerry Cantrell from Syracuse. Still has a decent size to him. What did he do last year? 2 sacks. You got 4 sacks with the power rusher in Larry Long. Speed rusher with 3 sacks in Nazir Barmore. That name sounds familiar. I feel like we maybe tried to recruit him before. He started in 12 games last year for Fresno. For 12 games, not a whole lot of production. In fact, none of these DTs really had much production in terms of getting those sacks. We'll just keep scrolling and see if someone pops off the board here. Jimmy Sanchez, power rusher, 5 sacks, does at least lead this group. Could be an option. Junior, though. Now we're getting the guys who didn't play as much. You got Kona Manuai, power rusher, 6'1", 288, more of a 3-tech size. 3 games started, 2 sacks, 7 tackles, 4 for a loss. Now we're getting into guys who didn't see the field as much, but when they did something with it. And that might be a little bit more of the case for us. We're gonna take a look here. The guy out of Honolulu. Just give me a quick gauge on what he looks like. Nothing necessarily standing off the board, but the strength does still look to be high. We just don't know much about what those power moves or finesse are going to be. But that's all of our points here for round 1, or week 1, I should say. Heavy into the secondary. 2 safeties and 5 corners. On top of that, couple points sprinkled in here to some of the high school guys. But that should be a good start and to give us an idea on where we truly are with all of these guys. So we're going to sim to the next week. Or before I do, did anyone want to see any other draft results from any other school? I'll pause here, let you guys respond. Do we need to see anyone else? Yes or no? Let me know in the comments. We did look at TCU earlier. They had 4 guys go. Quarterback, receiver, corner, running back, I think is what it was. Honestly, I'm not even sure how far back you guys are from where I am. Edward, you want to see Miami? Yes, Miami. They just won the Natty. Good call. We'll check on Miami, not that far down from us. They sent everybody. Everyone went. First round, they had Charles Lester, a boundary corner. We're trying to bring in some boundary guys. Physical route runner at tight end. Luca Gilbert goes second round, as well as 2 other players. Armando Blount. The name looks familiar, and I feel like it's Blunt. Cam Pruitt. So off-ball and edge rusher. Their other edge rusher goes in the 3rd round, Darren Mulligan. Jason Johnson, another corner. Bump and run. These corners going early here are the kind of guys that we're trying to bring in. Jackson Cook, receiver, does go 4th round with Patrick Zimba? Joshua Moore. They sent 3 receivers? No, just the 2. Okay. But 2 centers as their 6th round center goes. Susu Alo Fatuli. I probably butchered that. Anyone whose name is that, I apologize, or culture also matches that, I apologize. Not too good at some of these names. Do my best. Always let me know in the comments, too. If you know how to pronounce them and I'm butchering the pronunciation, just let me know. But Miami, they send quite a few guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 guys from the national champions. All right. No other requests coming in there. So now we'll get to that second round. Back onto the recruiting line. One thing we probably should have done is spent some of our coaching points to get that initial boost extra, but I think we already had that for the corners, so it wasn't a big need for us. But to the next round. The guys we are looking at, are they looking at coming to Kent State, playing for Coach Ty despite the lack of success of the secondary? Well, already we are out of the hunt here for the defensive tackle, so that is great news. See a quick update here. We're in the running for a good few of them at the minimum. Not necessarily winning all of these. Let's see what we could do here. Transfer portal. We are in the lead, and no longer is Minnesota going after the kicker. So we're going to pull some of these points. 5 points there. Coker still does have Oklahoma State coming in. So we're going to actually add those 5 points we just took off. Tennessee, they are coming in here hard for Iwabima. Do we need him? We didn't scout him. We don't know how good he is. And we might need those points in this battle. So we're going to pull that off then. Now, hard to tell how far we jumped up on these guys, strictly due to the fact that they weren't even thinking about us beforehand. Outside of Aiden West. Ohio State is making a good push here. We are into a visit range, so I think we need to go ahead and schedule some visits here. With proximity to home being at the top of the board. He is from Gaithersburg, Maryland. Close enough for that A+. Toss him on. Augustine, we are inside the top 5 here. Now, if we set up a recruiting visit, it's not complimentary. But we did make a big jump here, so let's try to set him up then for week 3. What is he like? Championship contender. That is good enough for us. The A-, we'll set him up there. Okay, at least on the board here before some of the other guys do. But we don't have any of these extra points we could spend right now. Now could be a good time. I don't know if it takes effect immediately, but it's worth checking. Can we add extra points here? No, we can't. Okay. I was hoping we could unlock it there, but it doesn't seem like we can. The only other things we have is tactics, and that's all upgraded, so can't get any boost there either. So, it is what it is. We got to try to figure out a way to win these battles with what we already have. Which, frankly, isn't a lot. Nothing extra. But the DT we already locked out on, so that's fun. That's fun. We have these two guys under... We're making some headway on some of these other guys. Again, it's just hard to tell where we are because we weren't on most of their radars. So we're going to have to go another week. Still might be a good idea with the 430 points we have to consider looking at some other guys as well. So now we could potentially take a look at the tight end, the DT, a little bit better. And in fact, we can just do a search here for the tight ends. Minimum 3, max 5. Doesn't let me choose archetype. That is something I wish it did, so that doesn't really help us then anyway. Kind of miss the old like back in, what was it? NCAA 14, where you could actually even search by speed and like bench reps and all that. That very much helped out. I'm looking at prospects again. Now if I'm actually in the right area, can I look up archetype? No. Yes, player type. Yeah. All right, I just actually have to be where I'm supposed to be. Then it helps us out. 3 to 5. Don't care the state or anything else. Just show me the vertical threats. There are not many. That is unfortunate. This guy, we have Kamari. I'm assuming that's just pronounced Kamari. Kamari Smith here, a junior from Dayton, Ohio, at least close to us. Didn't play much last year. Seems to be our only option, so yeah, we're going to have to add him to the board. search here. Now looking for the defensive tackles. Some speed rushers. And now it's just Kerry Cantrell. 2 sacks. Didn't start in a game, though. So he could be an option. Now, what about the power rusher here? Any other options? Larry Long. Started 12, only 4 sacks. Patrick McNeil. Started 7, not a single sack. So not a whole lot of options for these DTs, but something. As for other corners still available. Should have went the other way around. Corner, bump and run, minimum 3. We're already looking at those guys. Vi Malapaye. No interceptions, but didn't start in a game last year. Good size. No one currently looking at him. Amari Hutchins. No one looking at him. Didn't start in a game. No interceptions. They get a pass deflection and a couple tackles. And then we'll take a look at the boundary as well real quick. Again, just making sure we have guys here in case these top options we've already looked at don't go our way. Vincent we pulled off, and there's a lot of guys looking at him. Marquise James, no one looking at him. Couple interceptions, started 12 games, 11 pass deflections. Take a look. And Kirstic, another boundary guy, good size. No one's looking at him. Quite a few interceptions as well. Scott Tremble, boundary. 2 interceptions, 13 games started. No one taking a look there. So we have options because we can't put any more points into the guys that we already have been taking a look at. So with the 430 points, might as well be useful, right? Take a look at these tight ends. Or tight end. See if we even want to go after the guy from Dayton, Ohio. He's got a little bit of some pass block to his game. Deep route running, not bad. Catching traffic is all right. Good acceleration. Speed could be high. 85 speed with workhorse. Now, I love Rodney Lupke. Don't get me wrong, but we could use with a guy with some starting or at least some experience out on that field, considering we're going to have true freshmen in. For the DTs, Kerry Cantrell, the speed rusher. 74 speed, not awful. Finesse moves is high, with the floor of the power moves being the 73. The strength is good. Tackle's good. That's a guy that could do some damage for us. But let's decide between him and Larry Long, because we only need one. Power moves at 93. 70 for the speed. Decent strength. I like Larry Long. Junior versus junior. Sorry, Cantrell. Give me Larry Long. Which is an interesting name. Now we have 5 more corners. 280 points. Just get some scouting. Not great press. Speed not good. We're going to take him off. Hutchins. What are we looking at? Doesn't quite have the press. Man is a little bit low. He's balanced. A guy you could try to develop, but he's a junior. Marquise James. Anything good here, bud? Man is low. Speed is high. Press is good. The zone is much higher, but doesn't quite exactly match what we're looking for. Keep him on the board for now. Check out the boundary of Terrell Kirstic. 75 press, 81 catching. Decent speed, zone. Comes in pretty even across the board. Freshman. He's more of a guy I would want to develop. We'll toss a scholarship on for Kirstic. What about Scott Tremble here? Okay, that's a great first impression because it already tells me not the kind of guy we're looking for. Save me some points here. So Kirstic, we will go for him as well. Marquise James. That man is low. He's a sophomore. Probably not going to switch to what we need at that spot. So we will remove him as well. And that means since we have the extra points, we'll upgrade the 25s to 50s. And we still have points to work with. Not enough available hours. What are you talking about? Oh, because I didn't remove it. When you move too fast, sometimes it's a problem. And that still leaves us 65 points. There's nothing else we could do with all these other guys. So is there any other spot that we think we could use some help? Go back to the transfer portal. Any? Show us guys that are interested that we are not currently going after. We could use with potential help on the offensive line. Center was a position that I thought we could look to go after. We can't go after the 4-star. There are some 3-stars. For agile or well-rounded, Derek Stingley did not play last year. He's a sophomore. "12 games played, 12 games started, 2 sacks allowed." Not bad. Though a junior, probably wouldn't come in too high of an overall. We can look at the guards too, in case we want to move somebody. Though they're all going to be 3-stars as well. Well-rounded at the top. Agile there. There was the first center well-rounded. No, he was raw strength. Offensive line doesn't look all too intriguing. So just back then to who's interested. What could we get in cheaply, I should say? Jordan Crawford. He's a pure power guy. We have enough nose tackles. We have plenty of tight ends. Von Ingold? Is it the return? We don't need linebacker. I gotta go after Von Ingold. That guy was so good. Spent 1 year with us, goes to Michigan. Now he might look to come back. That's a spot I don't even have to scout. I know this guy. We're going to get into that battle. It's a little bit late. It might be too late. But we're already inside the top 5. That leaves us with 10 points then. Who's going to get these 10? Uwabima. We had 10 on you before. Tennessee still made a come back here, so we'll toss in the 10 to see if they give up after this week. That's what we're going to rock with. I don't think there's anything more we could do after that. Von Ingold. And you know, prior to today, I was thinking I should check to see if Von Ingold even would potentially want to come back. I didn't, but until then, he just showed up himself. All right. Recruiting week number 2 in the books. We go to week 3. Looks like yet again, internet having some problems. Stewart, we are out on. Come on now, internet. There we go. Internet back up to the full bars. Can't have you dropping out now. In case the frames dropped. We are struggling with some of these corners. The safety in Stewart, we are out. He's already inside his top 5, and we are not one of them. So now we very much have to start making some tough decisions on these corners. Still doing well with the kicker. Doing well enough with the receiver. And Tennessee's come in. Yeah, they've taken that one. We're not going to have the points for it. We just had the extra ones in that last week. Thought we'd give it another go. Now we're making some headway here. Got to schedule up a visit. It's going to be contested, but I still think we're going to have to do it. If there's any chance of us bringing these guys in, we're going to have to do it. So we'll get that schedule visit going. We are in front for West. He just had his visit. We jump in front of Ohio State. That's massive. We have a visit coming up here for Augustine. That'll help us. OSU, though, who's in first, has a visit the following week. Foster, very close between everyone here. No one else has a visit scheduled. I don't want to negate so much here on week 3 where we have a tight race already going. So conference prestige is big, but pro potential is even bigger for him. But it's not that good for us, so we're just going to have to go with what we can go with here. Robert Jones, we're making some headway, though, on a lot of these guys. Spending a lot of points, though, setting up these scouting visits. Playing time's going to be big. Attend a player position meeting, whatever that was. Eastlick, growing up on him as well. Now, this would be complimentary, so that is big. Conference or championship contender is big. Right? Swing surfing, get out the way. Championship contender, yeah, championship contender. Good for us. Now we are out on the other safety, so that could still keep Zyman then in the start. So we're going to pull off there. Cummings, we are able to set up a recruiting visit as well. If I push this, no, because he still won't be able to have that. Anyone else from the offense join. So we will just stick with that. Playing time, big for him. They say A+. Could be big for all of us. Doing good there on the tight end. Good on the DT. Really good there for Kerstick. Von Ingold, we've already jumped way up. Get you in on a visit here. Can't set it up for week 3, but we can set it up for week 4. Playing time. Is it the return of Von Ingold? That is worthy of another quick screen grab. Man, I wouldn't have thought, but we might be able to bring back Von Ingold. Have 3 high-caliber starting linebackers. And we still have 160 points. And again, we're all full up here. So still, we should probably do our due diligence on checking more corners. Probably should have kept the other corners on the board since we, already scouted them. Let's see what we got here. I wish that was an option to take corner off if you've already scouted them. Yeah. Some more bump and runs. Anyone in the open? Amari Hutchins, I'm pretty sure that was a guy we already checked. Danny Berry. That name is not familiar. We will add you to the board. Boundary. Might have to expand our search. Marquise James, I feel like we checked him. We didn't like it. Scott Trimble. I feel like that's another guy we checked. Didn't like him. I'm going to add those 2 just to make sure real quick. Yeah. So it looks like we might have to expand what we're looking at corner. Just again to be safe here. We can't come away with nothing. Danny Berry. Solid man start. The zone is low. He's a junior with no awareness. Not good enough. Let's see what other options we have then at corner. Oh, Loco coming in. Yo, I'm catching up from the beginning. A lot of good things, I will say. A lot of good things happen for us so far. Nothing bad. Cross your fingers, knock on wood, yet. Because at this point, we're going to need it. We're going to need some good luck. We got to land these corners. Should also probably check again on some safeties, but there weren't a whole lot. Again, 3. So there's not a whole lot of options. It's field or zone left. So there isn't just straight up man, which I think is more of that bump and run. Okay, well, give me some safeties then. Coverage specialist. Think I messed up that search. Yeah, recruiting stage open. No one. Solid. What about strong? Nobody. Okay, well, we've done as much as we can then when it comes to potentially flipping this cornerback room. We're not out of these, but it's definitely not comfortable for a lot of them. I think this next week is really going to give us a good eye on what is happening. But still, we have 140, so let's utilize some points. Checking in on how other things are going then for us. Show us some interest. And that's already all the people interested. Okay, short list. So the only ones on this board that we haven't looked, again, we don't need another DT. Pass protector, a junior, could have an opening, gave up 3 sacks. We have the points we could scout. And for Godwin, we're in 3rd right now. LSU, they're taking a look. He didn't play last year. He's well-rounded. We'll check these last 2 guys, and these should be the last 2 that we even check. Run blocking a little bit low. This is the pass protector, though. Still pretty solid. The run block finesse, 78. Pass block is at a 90, though. Not bad. Not bad. Ryan Godwin, he is the well-rounded guy, and well, we already offered him a scholarship, so there's that. But he is well-balanced. So then in that instance here, how is the recruiting doing? So they both definitely have some guys looking at them. Let's go 35 apiece. So technically, we could already have set up a scouting visit. And no, because that would be next week. So if we did set up Cummings' visit for week 4, bringing in Wembley could have set up a complimentary in week 4. It's what happens when you do things ahead of schedule, I guess, assuming that you're not going to do anything else. But this is a big week. This is a big week on if we're going to hit on a lot of these corners or not. So we're going to jump ahead here, and we're going to hope for some good news. Fingers crossed. Knock on wood. Simming forward. Don't break our hearts here. We are locked out on Von Ingold. Come on. I wanted that return. Well, I guess we can't use that screen grab then. We are also locked out on Ralph Cummings. So we're going to have to go back to the drawing board. And Augustine commits to OSU. I'm pretty sure we had a visit with him this week. So down goes one of our options at corner. Now, this is the final week. We just have to be in front at this point. We got 410 points to work with. We should be getting the kicker. Ooh. OSU is making a late push here for Coker. So let's not let them come in here and do anything crazy. We got extra points. We're going to utilize it. We have the points as well to potentially make an upset happen here. Can't set up that visit. I really wish we could. But that's because they are visiting with Tennessee. So putting in those 50 might not actually help us at all, but why not? We're going to do it. Earls locks us out for playing time. Come on. What if I take off Augustine? Doesn't help us out there with Earls. No one's committed. We need you, buddy. Though the 50 points are still put in there, so there's a chance. I don't know, maybe. Unless we cut some of these corners off the bottom. Cummings we're locked out on, so we can go ahead and take him off. Now we don't match the playing time here either. So something changed in that week. Something changed. But no one else has offered for Smith, so we're going to keep him on there, and he might join us later. Long we're doing well with. Ristic we're doing well with. And we got to make sure we at least bring in someone, so I'm not going to take the points off here, though he needs to develop. Fortunately, not going to bring back Ingold. Final week here. We could set up visits in this final week. We will look to do that if we have the extra points available, just to try to upset some of these higher tier teams. But we're in front right now for Earls. But he's blocking us right now because of that playing time. But we have to do this entire cornerback room. We have a visit with Savon Foster here at the very end. And maybe that would push us over Iowa. We got another visit here with Robert Jones that maybe would push us over Liberty. Isak came on a visit, but still trailing to TCU. So a lot of these are a big, big toss-up, and there's nothing else we could do. We've already looked at everybody, and we're going to stick to what we need to do with our defense. We're not just going to go bring in whoever and put them in like patchwork. Conference prestige. See if we could steal him away. Who is he looking at from Ohio State? That'd be a great steal. Not sure we could get it done, but hey, we're going to try. Competition here, but hey, we got the points. Might as well use them. Playing style big? No, just coach prestige. Or playing style. We'll go with coach prestige. 270 points and still so much question. Can't set up a visit there. Are we full on visits? Might be full on visits. Yeah. Oh, just because it did unlock other things. Yeah, we didn't even do any hard sells. That could help us out here. We've just been going with some not great methods, but I guess it is still working out for us unless we really match well with these guys. With a D+, though, I don't know if I want to risk that. What's the other option? Championship contender, which is another A. Let me pull up quick. It's not cheating. You guys should do it too. Google CFB 26 recruiting calculator. Let me see what we're working with here. For Aiden West, we got to make sure we get to these guys. So we know we got an A+, we got a D+. And the championship contender, A-. It's saying hard sell. So Aiden West. Find the right fit here. There it is. Hard sell plus the 10. Why did no one tell me? Forgot to switch everyone to the hard sell. That might have put us in a better spot here. Pro potential is big. So if we go to take a look here. Conference prestige and pro potential. Could be Sunday player. It's not that one. So it is Sunday player. So that is an A-, B+, and a C+. They're saying hard sell. I say okay. Gotta find our way to land all these guys. Brand exposure is big. We don't know what the last one is, but frankly, just looking at the C+ and the F, we are keeping with the hard or the send the house. That's an easy one from this side. No calculator needed. C+, A-, A+, that should be another hard sell. For Miles Isak. Probably should have did this about a week ago. All right, what about Long? We're inside the top 5 there. Championship contender, coach prestige. Could be with the conference prestige, so might be aspirational goals. Could be brand exposure. We're going to go with the better fit for us and just cross our fingers that it ends up panning out for us. Kirstick. Are inside the top 5 there. Playing style is big, not good for us, but the coach prestige should be okay. We'll take a look to see what looks to fit. Not coach prestige, no. 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 All right, so only one option. That's one we need a calculator for. We got B+, B+, and a D-. They say hard sell. I say okay. Wembley. What are we looking at here? Conference prestige and championship contender. Those two are good for us. Could be aspirational goals again. Could be conference legend, which is also good for us. It could be a lot of these. We would have to take a massive gamble, but it could pay off big for us. Trailing Ohio State. Could we steal him at the end? Which one gives us the best potential option if we hit? It's probably conference legend. We're going to go conference legend. If we're trying to steal someone, sometimes you got to gamble. Sometimes you just got to gamble. Ryan Godwin. Playing style, what we know. Coach prestige for him. Playing style and coach prestige. Nope. Nope. Probably. Nope, actually. That one. All right, that is everyone switched then to a hard sell where it makes sense, and still Shamari Earls is like, you're looking at a lot of guys. Remind me of Earls here. He's, again, more that zone than the man. So if we do end up losing on him, it is what it is. And now, since we have this extra hours at the end, now I would go back and take a look here at the college player or the high school players. You bump and run, 3 to 5 stars. Anyone in the open? Not that I could go after. Okay. What about boundary? Not that I could go after. Okay. Top 8. There are some guys we could look to try to potentially steal. No offers either have been given. Sam Yerby. Take a look there. Get no offers. I will take a look. We have to rebuild, and some of that comes with high school. And those are the only options. Okay. So trying to potentially steal some more people here late, only if they match what we're looking for. Good enough speed. We could work with some of this. He's a gem. Definitely is going to have to spend time developing. We're going to tack on Yearby. Quincy Weathersby. Again, needs some developmental time. The press is at a good spot to start. I wouldn't be against trying to steal some of these guys here late. They're not going to be starting by any means. Now, Christian Neighbors, he is a JUCO. Man is at a better spot. All in all, that's, really solid. Probably more of a slot guy with a lack of press, but still pretty balanced. You got to restart from somewhere. Here. Jumping around, clicking wrong buttons. Tack on 50 each here. That still leaves us with more options. Because again, we just have to be in the front here at the end. You don't have to have filled them all the way out. Or potentially, too, if you just are the only one to offer a scholarship, they still might come to you later, a late transfer in. We haven't added a quarterback. We might, and Marquise Davis. If we take a look at quarterbacks, probably looking for more of a dual threat. There's one quarterback, Dave Stork. You can take a look at him. He's not very highly ranked, but he still might be solid. We didn't find that running back. We did not find the running back we need. I'm glad I remembered now. Before it's all said and done, still should be getting that kicker. Let's search, actually. Make this easier for ourselves. Contact seeker. I don't care what the recruiting stage is. There is Jamison Cleveland. Contact seeker 5'8", 214. Hasn't seen the playing field. Or a 6', 230, and Tony Ackerman, a little bit younger. North-south blocker. Take a quick peek there. Down at FIU, John Presley, freshman, who did see some playing time last year, so he will not be a freshman again. But still probably younger than the other guys. Got a couple options here. And that means probably not going to take a look at Stork. Because we actually need position needs here late. And we got a little bit of time to try to figure this out. Which one of these guys are going to be the better options? Good acceleration, good carrying, good speed. Catching, change of direction, juke, not as much of a need for us, so we're going to stop spending the points there. Tony Ackerman. Decent change of direction. Speed isn't anything crazy. Okay. Presley. Now we only have one more time that we could actually scout one of these guys. If we want to do the full send the house and give a scholarship. So now is the information we've got to work with. Who do we want to go after? Well, Jamison Cleveland, he's fast. Contact seeker. With 85 break tackle. It's going to be higher and faster than Tony Ackerman. Break tackle 80. 85 is better. Speed looks like it'll probably be lower with Presley. There was the possibility of something really good here with Shaden Boyette. Doesn't have the juke or spin or anything. I think Jamison Cleveland is clearly the best option. So we'll push late there for another running back to try to take over. For Dupree, who graduated. That is all of our points spent. Everything upgraded as much as we can to the send the house where it has to be, or the hard sell. It all comes down to this. Trying to rebuild the entire secondary. We added even more corners to this group. So Shamari Earls probably absolutely hates us at this point. But we've got to land a lot of corners to rebuild that group. We're going to see if it all pays off here. As that is the off-season recruiting section done. Transfer portal is done. Who is coming to Kent, Ohio? That's what we're about to find out. And we get Scotty Rubin, a free safety. He's a high school guy who we pulled off of. He still decides to come here. No one else was interested. We land Tobias Watford, another high school guy that we pulled off of, but still decides to come here. We land the kicker. We have a kicker that we didn't have to pull from our soccer team. We land the receiver, DeAndre Lake. No one else was going after him. What about Coker? Are we landing Coker? We still don't know. More high school guys rolling in. Nick Dogg, a corner, does join. We get Marquise Davis, so we still land the backup quarterback. And we get the tight end, Kamari Smith. He does decide to just straight up commit despite, I'm pretty sure we were locked out on that last week. But now we're getting into some transfers. We still land Shamari Earls. Okay. Top guy in. Larry Long, we land the defensive tackle who should be a pass rusher for us. Ryan Godwin, we stole him at the end. It was either Ohio State or another top-tier team. But we steal an offensive lineman. We get Christic, who I don't remember if he was a transfer we found or a high school guy we found there late. We get Robert Jones III. Another transfer corner. We get Jamison Cleveland, the running back we went after there late. Again, you only have to be at the top of their board at the end. That's all the information they're going to give us. We do lose out on Aiden West. Excuse me, I was looking at that. And that's all the points we get after all that? Come on now. Thank you. I guess we'll go look at the big screen. It didn't like us looking at the small screen. National Signing Day. I think we did a lot of work. We put in a lot of work there. Coker does end up going to Oklahoma State, so that's unfortunate. Ogba goes to South Carolina, fine by me. We get Nick Dogg. Iwabima does end up going to Tennessee, so perhaps us pulling off those points there accidentally late in the regular season after that playoff game did ultimately hurt us. But I think it's okay. We didn't need that starter. Somehow we still land Shamari Earls, despite the fact that he had us blocked out. I would love to see how close we were to landing Aiden West. Or just anybody. I would love to see where those points lied. We do not get Savon Foster, but we do get Robert Jones III. We do not get the safety in Miles Esick. So did we land? I don't think we landed any transfer safeties. So it looks like the safety group will stay as it was. But we have a new starter, I imagine, at corner. Potentially two new starters at corner. Kamari Smith, we bring in, so someone to play either tight end 1 or tight end 2. We're going to find out. We get a good pass rusher down the middle. We do land Christic, and I do believe he was a transfer. Yes, he was. And we can still look at that scouting report. Don't think he's going to be ready. He should develop still. So we'll see where he does end up developing. Impact player, mind you. We do not get Wembley, so we did not steal him from Ohio State. But we do get Godwin, and it is not going to show me who we stole him from, but we did steal him from somebody. As for the guys we went after late, the corners did not choose to come here, but they still might. Sam Yearby, the gem, will walk on to Maryland, but Maryland did not offer him a scholarship, so he might still come to us. Ohio State did offer that scholarship. Just going back real quick to make sure everyone else up here did get that scholarship. So, yeah, it doesn't look like we should be getting any of that. Is what it is. But Yearby, he might be joining. We still might get Quincy Weathersby as well. And we potentially could land Christian Neighbors. So a lot could still happen at this cornerback room. Matthew, Ohio State versus Michigan. Who do I have? To be honest, I haven't watched either of those teams play this year. But I'm going to go with the Buckeyes. I'm going to go with the Buckeyes this year. We're going to see. Honestly, NFL, college this year has been nothing but just pure, utter chaos, and I'm here for it. Cal was having a pretty solid year. And I'm a Stanford fan, obviously. Did the whole Stanford in college football 2025. Or 25. But Stanford has not played good in the last 6-7 years. They beat Cal just 2 days ago? And they fired their coach. So pure chaos, and I'm here for it. Getting back to this, we still might get Neighbors, Weathersby, and Yearby all as late transfers. And then we landed Jamison Cleveland. So all in all, that is a really solid job done. We end up bringing in, about 27 players? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So a little bit off on that. 21 players. Not bad at all. Top classes. We were 43 before we started all this. And we jump up to 27 in the nation. TCU, though, still ended up above us. But we were sitting around this spot, roughly in the Big 12. We jump up inside the top 5, top 4 recruiting class in the Big 12. I will take it. West Virginia, team that did beat us last year. TCU ended our season. Arizona State, I don't think we played against them. So those should all be very interesting games if we get them this next season. And we didn't have any big transfer aways either, so there's not necessarily a team I feel like we have to play. We did not play Ohio State last year. I think we should play Ohio State this year. But outside of that, in terms of our non-conference games, it's kind of a toss-up. So if there's someone you want to see us play, leave it in the comments right now. Or at least if it pops into your head, leave it there before we get to that point. Position changes. I don't imagine there's going to be too many position changes, but this does give us a chance to take a look at these guys. So Davis comes in a 67 overall, not too bad. Very similar to Boger, who nearly ended up transferring away, but didn't. Running back wise, nothing big here outside of Jamison Cleveland, a contact seeker senior. So we still have to do some work in the next recruiting class to find those contact seekers. How good is his blocking? You know, impact not bad. All in all, not bad considering the position we're putting him in. So I'll take that. He will see playing time. We'll probably change the number though. 27. I want to get some different numbers here on the roster. Receiver, we're going to be light this year. DeAndre Lake comes in without the upgrades to Hay or Theory as the number 3 guy. So we might be playing him as a freshman, true freshman. We'll see how the roster lies after the upgrades. Smith does come in a 75. Lupke's down at a 68. I feel like we're missing a tight end. I have to jump back over to the signing day. I could have sworn we had 2 tight ends come in. I think one is an athlete. Yeah, okay. So we still had 3 in total come in. So we're just going to have to change Addison. Okay. Thought I was going crazy there for a moment. We're fine. I was like, I know that was a spot. I definitely made sure we had 4. It was. We'll just have to change the athletes there at the end. Now at tackle, we bring in Paul Browning. Was a recruit. Actually comes in really, really nice compared to Baldwin. Can Baldwin get any better? He's got the impact. He can still improve a little bit. So we might still be looking to redshirt Browning there. Who is agile tight. Good guard in Cornell Casey. And that's good because the backups here weren't looking great. Gregory McLean, really solid. Again, we got much better depth guys this year. Really good, just across the board. Godwin comes in an 82 overall. So we do find that upgrade. And can he get any better? Impact Dev, former 4-star, can improve. That's huge. Because Stray, who was set to be a starter, did start for us again for a year, same time as Norton has been capped for the last couple seasons. So huge get. We didn't make any additions here to the edge rushers. We've got to do better at getting some more speed here. So that's going to be a focus in this next season. Again, intentional recruiting is how we're going to look going forward. Because we don't have a whole lot of speed anywhere at the edge rush spots. DT-wise, Larry Long comes in an 81 overall. Now, that does not mean that Seth Nelson is out here. If we just take a look at their ratings, though, Larry Long does have some solid block shedding. Strength, though, is at 85, so he will be a rush DT. Bobby Ellington will be a nose tackle. Seth Nelson will probably be that number 2 when it comes to DT and nose tackle. Although Bobby Ellington does have some better overall pass rush ability. But Nelson did lead us in sacks last year, so we just might have to see some heavier rotation there. Iman still is going to see his upgrade. We've got a lot of talent here at DT, and we're probably going to cut some of the weight from this spot with these juniors and seniors at the back end. Don't think we added any linebackers this year. No. All right, cornerback group, Earls comes in an 85 overall. Already the highest overall corner we've had to date. And he's still going to get better. Robert Jones comes in, I think, tied with the highest overall that we've had in total. And those are 2 new guys that come in 70 or 97 speed and 95 speed with high acceleration. Jackson is listed here. I think Jackson has to find a different spot. He played safety last year, so we will switch him to a strong safety because that's going to be the only spot where he fits. But we wanted to come in here and flip the cornerback room. And we flipped the cornerback room. The top 3, all new transfers in. Kirstick, who is a redshirt sophomore, is coming in a 74 overall right now, pre-offseason training. So we're looking really good here. I am hoping he takes a big jump in this man. The press would be great. I'm hoping Jones also takes a jump in that press right now, favoring the zone. Both these guys, I would like to see their man increase. Duggar was around before. He's got to see that speed increase. Otherwise, he's a cut candidate. We're not going to be sticking with anyone who's probably less than an 87 speed. That's just going to be a hard rule moving forward. Candidate, Dog, they're probably going to be red-shirted, as Dog is a sophomore. He was a JUCO. Although that man coverage is pretty horrific from both of them. So we'll see. If we have to make the cut, we will. Zyman, right now, is going to be pretty lucky. He looks to be the starter moving forward. This is a tight group, but the speed is going to be a focus for sure. And he's got the best speed. Strong safety. You got Jackson and Robinson. Robinson was better last year by a large margin. Jackson will just have to be that number 2 option. If we do run any sort of like 4-2-5 looks, then we will have Jackson potentially play some maybe downfield. Again, it all depends on if that speed gets a little bit better. We do bring in Abrams at that strong spot, but it's going to be a work in progress with a lot of these backups at the safety spot. Kicker comes in with 87 kick power, 88 kick accuracy. So the offense is going to have to get a lot closer this year. We had 97 kick power last year with Curtis. So that might change up a little bit of the offensive plan, but always you want to find the end zone rather than kick. So it doesn't change all too much. And we've got the one athlete we want to move, and we already know where he is going. Though it says he can play a little bit of some linebacker. We don't need the help there, though, so he's going to go to tight end. And that is a quick set of position changes. Not many had to be changed. I think we changed 2 people. And Addison fills out that bottom spot. He'll probably be red-shirted. We're going to see how these other guys fall in. I think Lupke, I want to be that number 2 guy still. We'll see again how these upgrades go. Just going to check real quick here on the offensive line. Give us our best options across the board. I think someone's got to play center. So we're looking for someone. I think Jabari Okoye could play center. He's played several positions for us. He might have played tackle last year. In fact, I think he did. But now we have the new guy out there at tackle, so Okoye might be moving again. What does he look like at center? 88? That was pretty easy. That was pretty easy. So just taking, again, one last look across the board here. Stray's not going to improve. That's 79. Baldwin might, so we're not going to move the tackles around. That's us pretty evened up. Okay. Now we can move on. And I believe it is upgrade time, if I'm not mistaken. National Signing Day done and dusted. A top 25? Top 26? Recruiting class. We're putting in good work here, and this time it was intentional, completely intentional, and I am very excited to see how that changes how the team plays on the field, because we were a mismatched defense last year and every other year prior to. Dev trait upgrade for Jackson? You kidding me? That dude played so bad last year. I'm gonna take it, but if he gets it and Zyman doesn't, I'm gonna be upset. Seth Nelson gets the dev upgrade. Okay. That one's earned. Tell me Zyman gets it. Come on. We got one more. Mason Kelsay dev trait upgrade. Okay, does that mean he will actually upgrade at all? Because he was capped out. Come on. One more. Give me Zyman. Give me Zyman. That's not Zyman. Tim Snead. Okay, that one is earned. A lot of dev boosts rolling in here. I do love it. We don't get one for Zyman. You kidding me? Instead, Jackson gets it. That's just wrong. Who knows? Maybe Jackson saw how bad he played last year. Going in, hitting the off-season training, He just stepped up. We're about to find out. Training results. For Mason Kelsay, he's not going to be up at the top here. Jimmy Yazzie, up to a 96 overall, put on a pound in the offseason. His physical do upgrade. So he now has a silver armbar and a silver head first. He's an elite dev. Salavea gains 2 pounds in the offseason, up to a 92 overall. He now has gold, strong grip, inside shield, ground, and pound. He's a star dev. And Anthony Talib, he gains 3 pounds. Quick step is silver, same as option shield and quick drop with outside shield up to gold. 91 overall, and Okoye now playing center. His third position, I'm pretty sure for us, is a 90 overall. With a gold play action shield, he gained 2 pounds. Mason Kelsay does not see any improvement despite getting that dev boost increased. I was hoping it would, but he's been what he's been for a long time. Fair sees a +4. Boger sees a +7, but none to his speed. That is not going to fit, and he's out of that backup quarterback spot. Miles Cheeseman does get some boost there. Overall, I'm thinking Kevon Fair is probably the quarterback of the future. Throw power still needs to see some increase, but he would already have better short accuracy than Kelsay. Medium accuracy is not that far behind. Better deep accuracy. Throw on the run is improving. Would have similar throw under pressure, though nowhere close to the break sack. But he right now seems to be the future at the quarterback spot if we don't find someone else. This is a year that we definitely do need to focus on that quarterback spot. Martin gets that +1. He's going to be the primary backup for that true running back role. Mayo, though, does get a +3. Cleveland gets a +5. Scales +3 and Harbor +4, who did end up staying around. He will be the backup for that fullback role. But we're getting some speed. Yazzie up to a 91. That's massive. With the +3 to acceleration, the strength even got better. The trucking is now up to a 91. We got to utilize that trucking more this year, for sure. Good stiff arm. Yeah. Yazzie's looking good. And this is the first year we're going to have a running back that has started a previous year for us. That has not been the case. Every year we've had a new running back. That changes today. At receiver, Hassman takes the big jump. Hay also saw a really big jump. Theory did too, but now Hay put himself in a spot to see the field here. So who's playing where? But my problem is you don't have the release with Harry Hassman. So he needs to play slot. But if we do come out in a 3-4 wide, Armin Hay has got to go to the outside with that +22 for his release. He is a amazing route runner who should see the field. On top of that, he's got some good speed. This might be the most complete receiving group we've had yet. And that is going to help out Mason Kelsay not have to scramble so often and stay healthy this season. But it'll probably be Hassman and Katula lining up 1-2, and when we go to that spread set, Hassman drops to the slot, Hay goes to the outside, almost like an Adam Thielen. But I'm pretty sure that's around the same build as Adam Thielen. So it's the Dallas version of Adam Thielen. Tight end, Smith gets a +3, only a +1 for Rodney Lupke. So he's still not going to be in the starting spot. We will have the senior and Kamari Smith. I think tight end is another spot we haven't had a starter for any multiple seasons. We've had a new tight end every single season. So the hand's a little bit more interesting, I'll say, for Smith. He's got that spec catch. He's a far better route runner. The release is so much better. Very, very similar run blocker. Lead block is better, so Smith will be the starter this year. And Lupke will still be that number 2 guy, though we saw he did damage in that role, the little bit that we used it. I think the offense can expand this year. Baldwin gets that +3, +10 to his agility and change of direction. Pass blocking sees some good improvement. Run blocking is a little bit low. We'll see who gets the start at left tackle. Salavea, we saw his upgrades. +8 for Stitzer, the redshirt freshman. Greg Daniels could potentially be cut. Okoye, good jump there. Norton stays the same. Talib saw the jump. Not much from the depth. Right tackle, Godwin +3. So we should have an improved offensive line, or at least the same as last year. No improvements for Blackwell. Wake takes a good jump with +4 speed. It's great. Just don't think it's the future we need there. Sexton just gets the +2, which is really unfortunate because he has more of that speed we're looking for. But all these guys are pure power, and that's not what we need. So defensive line might be the focus of next year's flipping of the group. Shabera, though, does get the +3 with +2 speed. That is massive for us. On top of that, +4 to his power moves, +2 to his block shed. I think this should be the year of Shabera. No one else saw any speed increase, but it's slightly better at right edge. DT Ellington with a +1. Nelson with the +7. And that's a +10 to his change of direction. Power moves gets a +10. He saw us bring in Larry Long, and he's like, hey, don't forget about all I did last year. Put in the work. No run-stopping upgrade, though, for Bobby Ellington. That's a bit of a miss. Really good tackler. Grip Breaker is also up to Platinum. Got some good guys working in here. What about Hyman? He does get the +5. We are looking really good down the middle. Just got to check a message real quick. All right. Okay. But yeah, DT's looking really good. Again, this is really two positions. Nose tackle and DT. And we've got 3 deep at DT, 4 deep almost, and maybe 2 deep at 2 deep at DT, 4 deep at nose tackle. And we'll probably again cut some of the weight off with these seniors. Though we might have to keep 1 or 2 of these juniors, because we've got 3 seniors up at the top here. Sam linebacker, only a +1 for a while. Didn't see much of the playing field. Though only the +1 for Sneed, that is absolutely crazy work. Butts, though, does get a +6 as well as Yaboa. So competition for backup / that number 3, definitely in the running. Love to see who ends up lining up where. Because right now, the weak side backer is up for claims. So we're looking at a guy with some speed. Potentially Butts has that 81-82. You have the 80-85, but a little bit low there for Robert Gee. And then Quentin Donald, who didn't see any upgrade. Coming in a senior. I have a feeling it'll probably end up being Anthony Butts. Let's get to know him a little bit. Not much of a blitzer. Needs to work on that block shedding. But he does have some good zone. Also, really good coverage down here as well for Yaboa. A lurker. Better block shed. Feel the awareness a little bit lower, but the better play rec. They kind of swap back and forth. He just doesn't have that speed. Strength is a little low too, so he just might be a true Mike. As for the corners, no upgrades for the top 2. And Earls and Jones. That's a little bit unfortunate. No upgrades across the board, though. They must have been capped out. Yeah, no upgrade across the board. But they're still, again, higher overall than anyone we've had with more speed. Christic sees the +5. His speed goes up by 2, plus the acceleration, agility, +5 to change of direction. His awareness goes up. The play rec goes up. Man coverage goes up by 6. That's huge. And we do see Where was the guy who had 85 for the speed? Where did he go? Did he just voluntarily leave? I guess so. The press isn't anything tremendous, but Christic does see a big boost there. Take a look at the coverages. You just miss out on that zone. So Christic will probably still be the slot. Though Jamison Brent's making a push there. I mean, he has the good tackle. Good man. He's definitely a slot guy. The field archetype typically is. He just doesn't have the speed. But this is a much, much better, much more promising secondary, at least when it comes to the Big 12. Tyler joining in. Yo. How long does it take to set up a good custom playbook? Also, catering to the players you have to get the most out of them. So the offensive playbook we are running, I'm not sure how far behind you are. Honestly, not sure when you sent in the message. Apologize, didn't see it. The offensive playbook we have is custom. And it really depends on how much you really want to put into it. I don't think I really went in and set up much of the computerized side of it, of what play calls should be happening on every different scenario. That could take a long time if you really want to fully dive into it. If you're looking for something quick, you call most of your own playbooks. Just find the formations you like. Choose some of the plays. You could just put them all in, which is typically what I do. Though you could go in. All depends on the amount of time you want to put into it. Yeah, just choose the formations you want. If you want something quick, choose the formations. Change the audibles. Make sure you have the audibles correct for all of the different formations. And then just make sure you have a play in all the situations. If you're calling your own plays, if you're doing something where it's more of a coach style gameplay, where you're more just watching what's happening on the field, you're just managing the team, then you have to spend more time, dive in, find the actual plays you want, take out the plays you don't ever want to see, set up every situation for things you want to see, how often you want to see them. It really can drastically change. But Tyler, you also said also catering to the players you have to get the most out of them. Talked about that earlier and why we focus so much here on the corners and flipping everyone for the most part to be bump and run or boundary. Because I run 4-3 defense, man focus. So it's about 65% of the time we're going to be rocking with that man coverage. The rest of the time we are going to have some blitzing and some zone. So we focused in to make sure we have some better man coverage. The guys we ended up did have good zone. So we might have this year maybe more of a 50-50 while we get these other corners developing that man coverage. But that is one way you could do it. The other way is, like you said, just getting anyone you can and then styling around them, which is not my recommended. It's a fun way of doing it. It's what we did with Stanford and why that team kind of varied so much throughout the time. But it's the archetypes. You got to focus in on the archetypes you have and the physical and mental attributes you get from them. That'll very much dictate how you do your play calling. For a shorter answer on that, you can really dive into a long form. I recently came across, and we'll get right back to this shortly, I recently came across a series of videos this guy did. I want to say it's by Mills, Mills. And he did a breakdown for all the different offenses you could call, all the different defenses you could call, and the best archetypes for each one, how to utilize them, what player lines up at which is why I talked so much today about DT really being two different positions. Because if you got that nose tackle, you got that DT. I recommend you watch those videos, because I definitely enjoyed watching them. I haven't watched all of them, but the handful that I have watched, very, very helpful. But the quarterback room definitely saw a massive upgrade. Zyman did not get the boost to his dev trait. Please tell me at least got a good boost to his overall. +3. I'll take it for now. No upgrade to the speed or acceleration. Strength, awareness, play rec. Those are all good, the awareness and play rec. Focusing in again more on the coverage this year. He did see a boost to the zone, so that is good. The tackling saw a boost. Catching saw a boost. Pursuit saw a boost, and pursuit was a problem with him last year. So overall, we at least got something. Linval Iverson would be a tremendous player if the dude just had a little bit more speed. Just a little bit. And he could still get better there, I believe. So I don't think it's a... He can't. He's capped out 85-85 there. So he might be a guy that needs to transfer. Thanks for the explanation. I want to build a team better to have a super dominating performance, even on the hard difficulty. Yeah. Again, I very much recommend you watch those videos. It lets you just dial in a little bit more on what each scheme truly means to and how to utilize them. Because watching those, I realized, and I've been playing these games for a long time, a lot of the defensive play calls I was calling incorrectly. I wanted hard flats. I know it's something we were complaining about in this series on the Giants, that the flat coverage just hasn't been there. It's because I've been calling match coverage, which the way it works is it starts with zone, or goes with zone, then play recognition, then to man. So it's that purple zone or purple pink zone that's in the shallows. That switches depending on what the opposition is doing. So a lot of the times it would be something like a sticks concept where the outside receiver was running a slant in. Well, you would have start with that zone, play rec, sees the guys running the slant, follows that guy, switches to man, and then no one's left in the flat. It's because we're calling the wrong plays. I didn't have hard flats set, which was giving up that. So just watching that, even though you know it, sometimes you forget, and it restarts the brain there and makes you start to think. So that on top of shell coverage, I haven't ran any shell. I haven't run any stunts up front. There's a lot of good information there. I do recommend those videos. What about strong safety? Jackson gets the +4. Nothing to his speed. Natson gets a +5, but his speed is awful. He's a box specialist. What is his tackling? He can tackle. He could hit. He has a little bit of block shit. This guy's a linebacker if he could put on some weight. So that's something we could consider potentially next year. Robinson gets the +1. Nothing to his speed. His strength does get better. The coverage does not improve. Jackson played well. Better, I should say. Played better at safety. Really makes you wonder what to do here. Catching 90 versus 91. Tackling is going to be better with Jackson. So there's definitely some decisions to make here between the two seniors. And that will only be decided in what the team does out on the field. Kicker, no upgrades there. Hunter, get the plus there to the kick power. Excuse me, +1 to the kick power. All in all, there were a lot of upgrades. A couple spots I would have liked to see upgraded a little bit more specific ratings for some guys. I would like to see who had the biggest boost here to the speed, but we now have a new fastest player in Robert Jones. Earl's also at the top 2 players transferring in. Top strength guys, Bobby Ellington at the 99, Vi Salavea, 96. Who's the smartest guy on the team? Well, Nelson is very aware of everything happening around him, 89. Where are you hiding that play rec at? No, it's play action. Is that the back end here? There it is. 86, Felix Duggar, who probably won't see the field, is our best play rec guy. A little concerning, though, that the top corner is Jamison Brents, outside of Duggar. So not any of the guys in the top option for us. So we'll see how this rework ends up working for us. But all in all, big upgrades across the board. We now have 99 overall, or not 99, 90 plus overalls. Edwards checking in here. Natson on goal line. Defense package. Natson. It's one of the, yeah. I didn't take too much of a look here. I mean, yeah, possibly you won't have as much field to cover there. But that would be more having to go in to specifically change certain guys in the formations. And I'm not sure that's what we're looking for. Though, I mean, he could definitely hit. I think we just have too many other linebackers that might be better in that instance. We talked about potentially moving him to linebacker. He'll have to compete with primarily Anthony Butts and Terrence Yeboah. But potentially, if we're not doing well at the goal line, we need to change something up. We definitely can. We definitely can. The defense in general, this is a prove-it year for them and their defensive coordinator, to be quite honest. But training results done and dusted. All in all, good improvements for us. We're now a 3-star program, and that means just more recruiting options for us this year. Custom conferences not making any changes, though changes could come. I saw one thing, so I don't know how accurate it is, that Michigan is potentially looking at leaving the Big Ten. I imagine if they do, that's an SEC move. I think at some point we will look to change a little bit more of these conferences. But I think right now, nothing changing in real life. Things are pretty well balanced. So I'm not going to look to make anything crazy here. Checking the conference rules real quick. We could go up to 9. I believe Big 12 did change to 9. Let me just check that real quick. No. It already plays a 9 conference games and has for several years. Okay, well then the game was wrong. Tyler, want to see the coaching tree? Yeah, we could do that. Why I chose what I did. Yeah, go over that. Just want to make sure we have the 9 there. We'll stay at AT&T. Cool. Just want to make sure these are all correct. And maybe slow down on what I'm saying so I don't say it wrong. Switching all of the Power 4s. That one did stay at 9. Good and good. And then SEC 9. All right. So all of these properly set. Again, not making any changes. You guys always feel free to leave your thoughts on possible conference changes as well. We're just not going to make any this season. As for coaching tree, coach abilities. There we go. So I started it with more of the lore, specifically for Coach Ty, because he was a player for us in that Stanford series. He wasn't a one of the primary guys, but he made a lot of plays when he was on the field. So I thought it made sense for him to shift towards that coaching role. So we started over on the tactician, because he was a player. He still had to learn the whole recruiting side of college football, but he knew how to play. So we started with the linebacker boost to the tactician, working from there. And we still have a little bit to fill out here with the receiving game, but the receiving game just hasn't been a big need for us, so we haven't focused the points on it. Something we definitely could look to do in the near future. And I haven't focused much on the kicking either. I just don't think it's as big of a deal for us. Hasn't been a problem. So that's where I started, was the tactician. And then evolving Coach Ty from a player into a true coach. You got to get into recruiting. Recruiting is going to be big. None of our offensive or defensive coordinators helped us in the recruiting, so that's why we dove into it. And again, it started with the linebackers, filled it all the way up. I don't see the need to sway players. It just never has really been something I think we needed to do. So I don't spend the points on that. We still have some things to improve. We might look more at getting the quarterback transfer, more interest next season after Mason Kelsay does graduate and hopefully heads to the NFL. Would make sense. Running back could potentially be something we could look to already get into as we want to start building the proper depth, because that too, running back for us, is really 2 separate positions. But yeah, just building basically off of need with lore in mind. So focused on the defense first, still filling out the offense. That is where we're at with Coach Ty. Again, still might look to make those upgrades. We will do that. Will be in between episodes. I'm not going to jump in to start the recruiting process today. I don't believe. As long as that is after we set up the custom conferences. Encourage transfers, though. We might need to thin out this roster only by 2. That is a bit surprising. So then who is our lowest overall guys we could cut? Because we got a senior here in Travis Meredith. He actually played, I think, a little bit. Or it might have been a different Meredith. You're a senior this low, you're not going to play. I talked about shaving down some of those DTs, and some of the options we have here late are DTs who are never going to see the playing field. So we will make those two harsh judgments, and we still might look to make more room. I don't think there's any quarterbacks we need to cut, nor running backs are seeing good improvement. Any offensive linemen that we just think aren't going to get the job done. Greg Daniels. I don't think he really improved much this offseason. He still can, but he's just not going to see the playing field for us. And we've got freshmen in front of him. We're going to encourage him to transfer. Late transfer. This also might be the screen or shortly where we might see if we had any of those other late additions. Looking good there. You could look to cut here Grant Sexton. He's one of the few players with speed, but he's a junior. Guys are in front of him. Coach Ty is really, cracking down on this roster. He let the defense slip by him too much. And I just don't think he has anything that would see him have playing time. So we are going to thin this roster even more. We'll keep the 70 plus. Oh, as I say that, this left edge, that's going to be a pretty thin group in a couple seasons. Sam, looking good there. Mike, looking good there. Corners, don't need to cut any of these corners right now. We did land some extra guys late. John Ogba, I could have sworn he committed somewhere else earlier. South Carolina? Pretty sure he went to South Carolina. Well, now he's here. Charles Kennedy was a guy I think we already got. Weathersby joins, Neighbors joins, and Yearby joins. So we got all those other corners, which is just going to help us try to develop, again, that boundary guys for later on. So that's cool. They're all going to be redshirted. So we definitely flipped that cornerback group. I'm not going to make any cuts, because whoever had that 85 speed is no longer 85. I can't remember who it was. It might have been Duggar. So that improved enough that he could stay on the team. And I'm not making any cuts there, nor there. So that is cuts done. So we get down to 83. So that leaves more room to help flip some position groups in the future. That's all we got to do there. So we'll get on to the next week. Closing in towards the end here. Again, I'm going to do all the off-season recruiting behind the scenes because, again, I really got to dial things in. I'm going to take a deep look at it, and that will just add on a lot of time. We've already been here for about 2.5 hours. A little over 2.5 hours. For all those who have joined, thank you for joining. If you have enjoyed, make sure you do leave that thumbs up. Here is the recruiting. So we're going to leave that. Custom schedules will be the last thing we take a look at here today. As it stands, we have 2 openings here, FCS West and Coastal Carolina. Then we jump in against Kansas State, Iowa State, Cincinnati, Kansas, West Virginia, Baylor. I don't think we played Baylor last year, so that'll be new. Colorado we didn't play. Arizona State we didn't play. We do not have TCU on this schedule. And then we finish with SMU. Now, this is supposed to be a rivalry week. And I know some of the big talk of late, Oregon's coach talking some trash about the SEC, putting a cupcake game in here late. But this is rivalry week. We don't have rivals who are upper tier. So I do want to see, though, if any of our rivals are available this late. Toledo, I don't think they count. Is it Toledo who's the wagon wheel? Let me just double check on the wagon wheel real quick. I think it's Toledo. No, it's Akron. Akron. I always switch up Toledo and Akron. So we can't play any of our rivals, which is Akron and Bowling Green. in rivalry week. So that's a little unfortunate. We got the bye in week 6 and the bye in week 0, though we could look to shake that up, go with a bye here. And we could look to open up against someone else here. I do want to play Ohio State. So week 1, I want to get Ohio State. Because we did not play them last year, and we're competing to be the top team in Ohio, so you got to play Ohio State. We do have Cincinnati, which is another Ohio team, so I do like that. Who do we want to open up against? I don't think we're at a spot where we really need to have a cupcake game per se. Just checking over on the side, see if anyone had any interest for a specific school. Want to play someone new. Someone we have not played this series. I don't think we've played too many SEC teams. And we didn't have anyone transfer, so we don't really have competition anywhere. Mississippi's really fallen off. Down to a 69 overall. Tyler, you want to see Mizzou? Did we play? We played Mizzou? Was that our first bowl game? Was against Mizzou? Or am I mixing things up with Stanford? We got a call for Mizzou. That would be, I think, fairly matched. 79 overall, I think, was Missouri. We are up to an 85 overall. Taking big jumps forward here. So 2 tough games with 2 home games. Now, we can't change anything here. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We got too many home games. Ohio State would have to be there. Let's play at Missouri too, because we haven't seen their field. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This last one will have to be somewhere else, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, that will be a home game. So we got Mizzou and Ohio State. Tyler thinking it was Stanford. I think it might have been. So who do we want to play in the final week? Texas is on the board. So we really want to give ourselves a challenge there at the end. We haven't played Clemson, I believe. Blue Hens down to a 59 overall. Pretty sure we played Michigan State. We haven't played against South Carolina, I don't believe. I think we go South Carolina, or not South. We go to South Carolina, play Clemson. Or actually, no, this was a home game. Let's invite the Tigers. Give ourselves a little bit of a possible top 25 matchup there towards the end of the season if we need that little extra push at the end. Because as it stands right now, no one in the Big 12 outside of us starts ranked that we have on our schedule. So again, just going to make sure we have this correct. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, so that honestly is pretty good. Most of our home games are going to be in the last half of the season. That's going to be great for recruiting. And it gives us the first half of the season to get everyone to that top 25 spot. I think that's as good as it's going to get. Mizzou, Ohio State, then we have the bye, then jump right on into the 9 games. Finishing off with Clemson, because why not? That's how we are going to end this one here. We'll just show the board real quick. Not sure if that was a bad choice in terms of getting some extra boost to who would be interested, but this is what it is on that point. We do have a lot of work to do in recruiting, and again, we are going to dial in the recruiting even on offense. We're not just going to go after whoever's interested. But in terms of whoever's interested, we've got some 5-star interest. 2 but we can go after all 5 stars now as a 3-star program. Oh, Tyler, you went to Mizzou? That's cool. My sister went to Mizzou. Hope you don't beat them too bad. Who knows? We're going to be trying out a whole new secondary, basically. Maybe even at safe. I don't know. We're going to have to figure out that safety spot. But yeah, as a now 3-star program, we can go after as many 5-stars, because the rule from the get-go was we could only recruit people, as many as we want, 2 stars above where we were, and then 1 person who was 3 stars or higher. But now that we're at this spot, we could look at all 5 stars. So we'll definitely be keeping an eye on that. As for the running back interested, he's a north-south receiver. So that really doesn't fit what we're looking for. But again, I'll dial things in, take a look at the archetype possibilities and the mentals and the physical attributes that go with them as well, just to really dial this thing in. But we do have some 5-star interest. 4-star interest, we got a bunch out the gate here, starting with Thomas DiNucci and Prince Owusu. That is a great name. That is a great name. Top 5. Or Bobby DeBeer. That's also pretty good too. Goes very well with the butts and the cheeks we have on roster. But yeah, so far, I mean, it looks very promising. Kent State building themselves up here. Take a quick look here at the school. A lot of our attributes are starting to climb up. The stadium atmosphere is just really not ever going to build anything fantastic. It's a small stadium. The win percentage, though, is building. The home attendance is building. So it will get a little bit better over time, but we had a long way to go in small town Kent, Ohio. Campus lifestyle doesn't look like that is ever going to improve. It just is what it is. Brand exposure, again, that could get better with more nationally televised games. Most of ours are now, but we need the games of the week, the playoffs game, like all of that is going to help out. We need wins in those, though. Can improve the academic prestige, and we can improve the athletic facilities with team prestige. So that is climbing, but it's still, again, a long way. But Kent State in total has gone from a 0-star program, the worst overall, I believe, in the game, to now heading into season 5, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, now up to a 3-star, an 85 overall, with an 89 offense and a vastly improved, we hope, defense this year. Leave all of your thoughts down in the comments below for how this offseason went. Your score or overall record for next year, your predictions there. What players are going to be the standouts for us? Is Mason Kelsay going to break any more records? Just take one last look at that as we round this up. But Mason Kelsay already owns 3 records for Kent State all time. Passing yards, that will continue to increase. Passing touchdowns, that will continue to increase. And rushing touchdowns will look to increase. So the only thing left he really has is rushing yards in a career. And then jump into overall just individual game stats. That is all Mason Kelsay has left to do here outside of taking home that national championship trophy. That is the goal for us this next season, and we hope that the offseason changes the overhauling of the secondary, adding the speed, better man. All of that is going to help us out. Again, leave your thoughts down in the comments below. We will be back tomorrow as we're going to look to do something fairly similar to the Giants defense. We're going to overhaul that group, not in terms of players, but in terms of the scheme we run. I think a slight tweak based off the players we have might get that defense back in track. So we'll see you there. That'll be a normal episode, not live, pre-recorded. And we'll be back for Kent State on Wednesday, jumping into week 0, I believe we gave ourselves. So week 0 will be our next Kent State. If you have not already, hit the like. Make sure you are also hitting that bell icon on the bottom right if it is there. If not, scroll on down, hit that sub button, and tap that bell icon so you're notified of when all these videos go live 5 days a week, plus the shorts highlighting things. We're getting caught up on those as well. So that's been massive. We'll see you guys around. Thank you for being here. And up to a new season, the Golden Flash.